Welcome to the first invasion of the remake for 2016, making this Invasion of the Retrospective. Woo-hoo. And with me today, of course, are Trish and Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
How's your Christmas? How's your New Year's?
Pretty painless. New Year's was good. I stayed in and watched Chris Nolan Batman movies and drank champagne. It was a good time.
Very nice.
See, that sounds good.
Yeah, it was.
I would have liked to have done that.
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have done that too. I went to a Christmas Eve function downtown, and unfortunately I didn't really pay too much attention. I just got myself on the guest list, and it turned out to be a retro night, which seems to attract a bunch of androgynous hipster douchebags. So
oh, that was the 80s one?
Yeah, 80s versus the 90s.
Yeah, I got invited to that.
And I mean, there were some fun people. Like, I got to spend New Year's with some friends, so that was kind of cool, and there was some good snacks and champagne at midnight, but I think I was out of there at 12:05. I was going to kill somebody. The first death of 2016 would have been on my hands. So,
you get that first murder in Calgary.
Yeah, and it wasn't an overly. It was a bit of a troublesome night, I think, for the venue too.
Oh, really?
The crowd seemed to be a bit unruly, but
my venue was perfect.
Yeah, so
my venue was decent. Like, I had a decent time, but it petered out real quick.
It was all right. I had a good time with the people I was with, and once I realized that I didn't want to go back on the dance floor, then I'm like, all right. So it was an earlier night than usual when I go out for those kind of nights, but I'm not really into retro nights. Even though I'm probably of the age where I remember the 80s and 90s stuff, I'm the last guy. I'm probably
just
the one guy.
Just because you remember it doesn't mean it has to happen.
Well, that's just it. The guys that they were there that really dig it, they weren't even around yet. So it's all new to them.
I love the 80s. When were you born? 96.
They're too stupid to know that this music wasn't good the first time.
Some 80s music I do. There's a couple of songs I still bring out every once in a while.
I think 80s was the golden age of pop music. Pop music since never really been as good. The 90s was a dark time for pop music.
Well, 90s is just
90s
dark music. You got the grunge movement, which I wasn't into either.
See, I liked
it. Don't forget the new metal
super negative. I mean,
I'm a nihilist. I like grunge.
I think at that point I was discovering industrial, so that was really kind of changing my life at that point. But it certainly wasn't popular at that point.
I got a drum machine and a bad microphone. Awesome. I'm gonna buy all their albums.
I was discovering bands like Ministry and stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to Ministry in the car on the way here.
But I'll be the first to say I haven't liked Ministry since AKA Psalm 69. So there's been a lot of albums since then.
Yeah.
So, Invasion of the Retrospective, we're not talking about anything specific. We are going to take a look back at 2015, the movies we liked, the movies we didn't like, and, theatrical, direct-to-video, everything's on the table, even Netflix. So, we're just going to take a look at and there are some things that might have been on the cusp at the end of 2014 and got an official 2015 listing or whatever. Foreign films sometimes debut in 2014 but don't make it out domestically until 2015. So there'll be a few things that you might argue at home. Don't. I've already warned you about it, so shut up.
If you do want to nitpick us, just write us to we don't give a fuck at invasionoftheremake.gmail.com.
That's right. All complaints go to the fake address.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought an easy way to do it would we kind of have a master list of theatrical and limited theatrical release movies that we found on the internet. A powerful tool, everybody. You should check it out.
It might catch on one of these
days. It might catch on. For me, really cool, guys.
It's pretty underground right now.
I'm going to admit
it's not just for cat videos and porn. It's also for movie.
I'm going to be right now. I'm going to admit I haven't been to the theater since we started this podcast.
Oh,
not that the two correlate, but there is something there.
Well, we do have to spend a lot of time watching movies that have been done.
Yeah, so when inevitably my co-hosts say add Star Wars to their best of list, I haven't seen it. It's not on my list because I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And everybody at home is, what?
We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, well,
we're not going to talk about it.
I'm going to say it's one of the ones I really enjoyed this year, but I'm not going to talk about it because spoilers.
Yeah, we're not going to get
Spoilers.
into spoilery stuff, at least not with that particular movie, because everybody's been really cool about not doing that with this movie, and so we're going to be cool too.
We
but
just
not-
want to be cool.
we might, talk about.
I don't wanna be cool.
They
I
might
don't care
mention it
anymore.
in their lists, and in a non-spoilery kind of way, but we won't spoil that one.
I'm wearing a Darth Vader tie in an audio podcast. I want to be cool.
Yeah, and I've got a Force Awakens Stormtrooper one on under my hoodie.
First
so.
Order Stormtrooper.
Shut up.
And I'm wearing plaid
I'm
pants
naming
and a
the
sweater.
movie because I haven't seen it. So fuck you.
Well, my first theatrical foray apparently wasn't until March. Did you see anything prior to March?
I don't think so. You look at the movies that were coming out at the beginning of the year. I think I just wasn't excited about anything.
Well, let's face it. You dumped the shitty movies in January and February.
Yeah.
The first movie on the list that I saw, it wasn't the first movie I saw in the year, but it was the first movie I saw on that list that opened in 2015 was Jupiter Ascending. That was probably a January release and deserved to be dumped there.
Oh, yeah.
It was fucking awful.
I saw it in the cheap theaters, and that was fine.
And it was
$2.
here was probably
Where is there a $2 theater?
It's a 9-hour movie.
If you do a matinee at
scrunched
some
down to about 2 hours. Like it was a much bigger script. I think that they just hacked
actually,
away
I
at.
think it was a bigger script.
Oh,
I
it
think
shows.
it was
It
originally
shows.
the movie was going to be like 6 hours long.
Yeah.
Like it would have been a good mini series.
Yeah.
Possibly, if they could explain how the fucking economy worked, because from what I
Oh, the
understand,
politics
there's
and-
no way that this economy could work.
Well, they were
zero reasons. Like,
they were making Dune, or they
Well-
were trying to make Dune.
no, here's the thing. Like, you have to get this thing ready before you can harvest it. But if you're looking at the earth, it has to take a long time before you can get enough to harvest from it. So, like, the amount of energy you put in to get it, like, how much money you'd have to wait to go through it. Like, the economy doesn't fucking work. And, like, the amount of money you get out of that reaping of the resources there, it's not enough.
If we watch Star
You
Wars,
would not be wealthy.
No,
You'd
I
be
have-
just breaking even.
If we watch Star Wars from the politician's standpoint, more of those scenes from Phantom Menace, all of these guys bickering with each other, that would be Jupiter Ascending. Like, let's talk about taxes in the
it turned
in this
me off of
zone.
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah,
I
and
love him,
What the
but I
fuck
can't.
was he doing? Coming off an Oscar nomination and then going into what he did there.
Here's the thing: what's still happening is if somebody says the Wachowskis, people are still excited.
I
think this
am.
one. I think this one kind of fixed that.
No,
Speed Racer.
I like
Just
Speed
saying.
Racer a lot. Sorry.
No, but I think this one was the
no,
final
I'm not
nail. I think now
apologizing.
people
That
are
is
like,
the final
you know
nail.
what? It says Wachowski, but I'm going to read it.
I like.
I'm just gonna read
I
it.
like Wachowski's. Didn't like Jupiter Ascending, but they did win me back with Sense8 over on Netflix. So
Oh, I didn't know that was them. I'll
yeah,
check it out.
that's them. It's a slow burn kind of science fiction drama, but it's a very well constructed show. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to another season of Sense8.
Yeah.
So
I think earlier, I don't know. I looked on like another list, and I'm not sure because I'm getting my timeline mixed up.
that's
I
okay.
think what I saw
we jump around in other podcasts.
What I
why
saw
why
in-
do anything different now?
in the theaters, I saw it in the theaters, but I don't know if it was like late last year or early this year. Was What We Do in the Shadows?
That was last year.
Is that last year?
It's a 2014 movie.
2015, I think.
It
firm
had domestic
Canada release because it took a while
for
to
us.
get
It
out.
was a 2015 movie, but it was a 2014 release in its own country.
Yeah, because 2014 it was doing all the festivals, which
Yeah.
doesn't mean it was a release that I can see.
No, that's
I
a
don't
limited
count
release.
festivals as being
Yeah.
a release because I
We're
can't fucking see
we're
it.
not playing by stiff and hard rules here. So
But yeah, phenomenal movie. I love that one.
Yeah.
I've watched, I bought the Blu-ray for it after it came out. After
I think
a
the
while.
first
Loved
movie
it.
I saw in the theaters was Furious 7.
Yes.
Wow, that's way late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't. Yeah, you waited until like the big giant movies.
What was he doing in the shadows?
Oh, that's all I saw
know.
this year. Were really
He was
big
waiting
ones.
in the shadows until Furious 7 came out.
I saw lots of big
I
ones.
probably saw a lot of little ones. I just don't remember them.
In March, I got an invite to see a movie that didn't know anything about, and it like completely blew me away. Like, not counting Star Wars, I would say that this movie was like my number one
Right.
for 2015, and that was It Follows.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have watched
It's on
that.
a lot of everybody's
I've
lists.
seen it. I wouldn't say it's a game changer. I enjoyed it.
Well, I loved it. It was just like this classic slow burn horror film, and the thing that really set it apart was that it had this score done by an artist named Disaster Piece, who had been doing like video game music up to this point. and it just drove the movie so much. Like,
I hear that's what really drives that movie, because I did try to watch a little bit of it with a friend, but they couldn't get into it, so I didn't get very far, but I made note of the music right away.
Yeah, the sound manufacturing in it is great.
From what I saw, I'm like, there's not much here movie-wise that I'm thinking that's going to be great.
It's you know what? It is a movie it's hard to get into. You have
like
to
that
give
kind of
it...
stuff.
I do. It was just the wrong person to see it with.
You have to give it a solid 20 minutes before you're hooked. You can't.
We cut it at 19 then.
See, there you go. Right? But yeah, it just is like a cool concept, and maybe I know a friend of mine definitely thinks it fell apart hard in the third act. It does a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of does.
He's like, oh yeah, there's these issues with the mythology, and I'm like, well, they're setting it up for us, so I mean, whatever they say goes, I guess. But yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was unique, and it was well put together and well shot, and it was suspenseful, and the soundtrack was incredible. Being the hipster I am, I rushed out and bought the vinyl of the soundtrack.
Oh no, hipster douchebag.
And then
Emo Kylo Ren, everybody.
Yeah, Emo Kylo Ren. You haven't heard it follows until you've heard it on vinyl. But yeah, and I mean, the soundtrack is good on its own, but it really is a character in that movie. It reminded me of the Italian band Goblin doing things like Suspiria, where the music in that movie is really the driving force for all of the suspense and the action and stuff. And I felt that was like what this was, and I mean, it was a cool sounding thing, and I liked the idea of it, and I don't know if they were set up for doing more. Maybe they can't the way they ended it, but
it really is like like I said, I've only seen a touch of it, but music wise, it's the first one in quite some time that it stands out that aspect of filmmaking, which I think is really fascinating.
Well, I think sometimes
for quite a while,
when you're looking at a budgetary constraint like this, and you're kind of going with the unseen as your antagonist in the movie, the sound adds a lot more. Like, you want that dread.
Prediction: do you think the score will be up for an Oscar this year?
Because it's a horror movie and a limited release? No.
Oh, please. They put South Park up for score or for original song.
Yeah, but how big was South Park before it came out, right?
Matt Stone give good head. That's the only reason they got it.
Well, no, it's because everybody knew about South Park. Does everybody know about It Follows? No.
I don't think that matters.
I don't know. I would say no, honestly. It's too small. It'd be great if it did.
It's too small.
The end song of Con Air won an Oscar, so please. I don't think it's something you can take off the tables if it's a good score.
Con Air was a
It might be the only thing it gets nominated.
But Con Air had all those people in it.
Con Air was a giant movie.
I don't think that's a factor.
I think that's completely a factor.
Please, look at the list of movies that get nominated every year.
You need a big enough of a swinging dick to get your name on any of those fucking nominations.
Yeah, no, I don't
There's
think
a bunch of them that are just shit. Like, there's people who've done terrible performances, and they've gotten fucking Oscars.
It was not a big movie. Like, being a huge movie
but that movie
with big
was
actors is
it has
not
Michael
a factor.
Keaton. It has Emma Stone. It has a ton of other big names in it.
And
Edward
you look
Norton,
at almost
Naomi
everything.
Watts.
Shush. Everything that came out that year, you look at 80% of that list, I couldn't tell you what most of them were. Like, they're not big movies.
But I started naming the people in them, you would know.
The general public is unaware of who a lot... I mean, yes, Birdman did well and had big people in it, but that's not a factor.
Yeah, it is.
For music, fuck you. No, it isn't.
The music in that movie was terrible.
I'm not talking about a Best Picture nomination for this fucking thing. I'm talking about music.
The only time a big name doesn't factor in is like Best Foreign Documentary. That's the only time.
Maybe this will win for Best Documentary on Sexually Transmitted
I think it'll be on a list for music.
I would be surprised if it was.
It's the only movie I've ever even heard with standout music that anybody even talks about all year long. That's all I've heard about is It Follows for music. So... Yeah. It'd be a fucking crime if it isn't. It doesn't have to win. I'm not saying it's going to win. I think it'll be nominated, though.
No, they'll give it to some.
I mean, generally speaking, they only nominated 3 movies for score anyway. So
yeah, but didn't we have something huge? Wasn't there a Hobbit movie this year or something?
Well, that could be on there, but it's been that's pretty.
The last Hobbit movie was last year.
That was last year.
2014.
Yeah, and let's face it, it was 3 movies with the same score. So,
oh my god! Yeah.
So was Lord of the Rings,
right? So but
Star Wars.
I think Star Wars will probably get in there just because they usually have wonderful scores.
Yeah.
It's really, and you know what? Good. I bet you Mad Max will get a score nomination.
I think so.
It had such a great music in it.
I've heard that, but I don't remember the music at all.
Yeah, well, no,
I'll
it was
have to
like
watch it again.
fire spewing guitars.
Well, it was part. It was a character. It was actually literally. It was more of a
They had
character
to
than
have-
it follows because
yeah,
it
like-
was it was actually a vehicle with drums and a guy and
there's
electric.
a vehicle with speakers. They had to
Yeah.
make their own chase music. Like
Yeah.
that's what the full point
Which
of that
I think
was.
which was, I mean, that
I thought of it more like war drums, but yeah.
that was
No,
my
chase music.
as a whole. That was my personal favorite that I've seen in 2015. And like I said, keep in mind, I haven't seen Spectre, I haven't seen Star Wars, I haven't seen a lot of these the winter releases. So keep that in mind when everybody's freaking out at home. But for me, Mad Max was my favorite 2015 theatrical release, and it's unapologetic in what it does. It's just this crazy hour and a half, 2 hour chase movie, and it's crazy characters, crazy
Well, it's no
music.
1974 gun in 60 seconds, I'll tell
Yeah.
you.
No.
Or as Jeff wants to call it, Ishtar 2. But
It is Ishtar
It
2.
is not.
God
well
damn it.
more received.
Yeah, Ishtar was like a financial flop completely. But they're the same movie. In Ishtar, they cross the desert. In Mad Max, they cross the desert, and spoiler alert, they turn around and cross it again. They
In Road Warrior, they
just had
wander
cars
all over
and-
the
they just had
goddamn
cars
place
instead
20
of
times.
camels. If camels could have gone 60 miles an hour, it'd be the same fucking movie. Seriously. No, I saw Mad Max in the theater and
Loved it.
like
I've seen
everybody
it more than any other movie this year.
Everybody was just
for
losing their
rewatches.
mind. Oh, it was the greatest film ever made.
Oh,
And, like,
I won't put it in that category.
It isn't.
No.
It's a good action movie.
It's
It was
enjoyable.
entertaining.
It is high on my popcorn movie list.
It was way below everybody's craziness. Like, it wasn't worth the hype at all. I should have seen it opening day, and maybe I would have liked it a little more. I don't dislike it, but
Out of all of the Mad Max movies out there, it is my favorite. Like next to Road Warrior.
Beyond Thunderdome's clearly the best one.
Oh, you no longer have an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've
true.
just illustrated why we're not going to listen to you
Speaking of
anymore.
award-winning
His
scores,
favorite Star Wars movie is The Phantom Menace.
yeah, that's the best one. It's got pod racers.
Shut the fuck up.
The 6
Okay, just
minute-
turn off
the
his
6
fucking
minutes
mic.
of
Turn
Darth
off his
Maul
mic.
were awesome.
We're done here. You don't get a mic now.
We just talked at length about how omitting the first or episode 1 of Star Wars is a thing you should be doing. Well, the next one I saw in theater wasn't until May when Avengers came out. Did anybody see anything in between then and there?
Well, I'm not looking at lists, so I'm just kind of
trying
relying
to
on you
remember.
guys.
Well, I think like they have
You guys
it
saw
on the
Furious
list.
7.
Yeah, we saw Fury 7, and we really enjoyed it. It was visually like jarring at times, or at least, well, maybe not visually speaking. Having a film background that I do, when I look at that movie, I can see the problems where Paul Walker had passed away and one of his brothers was in the scene and how things changed. It feels very disjointed to me, as an entertaining in a movie as it is. And I think some of that disjointedness is filled with deliberate sentiment towards the passing of Paul Walker.
Yeah.
And and the audience ate it up, given that the movie did huge box office.
It
always
got
do,
to
though.
$1 billion pretty
Well,
quick.
except maybe Tokyo
Yeah,
Drift.
I
but-
think it was the second or third biggest opening for the year, and Star Wars was number 4, people, but it only because it didn't have long enough to be in the theater before the calendar changed. Otherwise, it probably would have been the biggest for the year.
But
entirely.
it was, well, I don't know. I always felt
Jurassic World was the biggest.
I was unnerved by a lot of it because I knew, because if you go in knowing about Paul Walker, every time that he was in danger, I thought they were going to kill him in the movie, and they didn't. And so the entire time, it
I
just
just
felt
kept
like they weren't going to
noticing
go with it.
his height changing. I'm like, oh, that's his older brother. That's his younger brother.
Yeah.
I could see he was constantly shifting in size.
I'm trying to remember. I had heard that the director of Furious 7 is doing a sequel to something. And does anyone remember what that is? It's something huge.
Yeah,
No, I don't know. James Wan?
He did pass on doing another Furious movie.
Yeah.
So give me a sec here, guys.
Yeah, I wish I could remember what it was.
Although I hope I don't have to be IMDb Pro to find this out.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a lot of smaller movies. Like I say, What We Do in the Shadows, best vampire movie, loved it. And Still Alice, I guess, which got larger theatrical release in 2015, very, very good movie. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, Still Alice is...
To me, the most effective horror movie of the year. Because the thought of losing your own mind is the most terrifying thing in the entire world. So Still Alice, I count as a horror movie.
Yeah, I'm not seeing
Yeah, I
what...
don't know what it is.
Oh, he signed on to do Aquaman.
No, that wasn't it. He was doing a sequel or something, and it was going to be huge, and I freaking can't.
Oh, well, I mean, I know it's not one of his, like, Conjuring or whatever. That's not it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe I'm completely wrong with who it is.
Maybe.
But we watched a trailer for something.
Well, he's
that looked
attached
awesome.
to Robotech as well. Which is
Robotech?
interest.
What's
That's
Robotech?
interesting. Oh.
Like giant robots from Japan.
Oh, okay.
It's huge. It's
a huge
yeah.
property. It's just, I guess, not with the chicks.
Giant robots from Japan.
Not
so
with
it's
the ladies.
so is it even slightly different from Pacific Rim?
Yeah, there's no
a
giant
lot.
monsters really.
No, it's.
But
yeah.
it's still giant robots?
It is.
I wasn't a big
It's not, as bad
Robotech.
as, it's not as bad as Pat Labor. You
Yeah.
ever
Oh,
watch
let's.
that?
It's a lot older than Pacific Rim, though. The property goes back to the 70s.
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. I remember that Robotech and Transformers used to have copyright issues because they would have like Jetfire in Transformers.
Oh, because he
cartoon.
was supposed to be.
He's like straight up a Robotech.
Yeah.
They have a certain design and like
Oh.
yeah,
you can
so-
still see in the older versions of those jet toys, like Starscream. They actually have the little guys still in the cockpit,
Oh, okay.
and they do. They are transformable, usually jets or sci-fi spaceships or whatever, instead of giant robots.
Giant robots that transform. Okay.
Speaking of robots,
That'll never catch on, by the way.
Avengers.
Yeah, Avengers.
Avengers was awesome. I loved it.
I enjoyed that one. I really did.
I did too, but the Avengers movies have not been my favorite Marvel movies as a whole. In fact, I think they might be the worst. And I say this.
Iron Man 3.
I say this.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 was a turd.
I said among the worst. And
Any of
and
the
I say
Thors.
this because
All of
I
the
don't.
Thors.
I'll disagree. But I
shit.
say this loving all of the Marvel properties. But I'm a comic book guy, so I'm very close to the material, and sometimes maybe I think too close. But I didn't think there was much there. I didn't like the way they handled Ultron, despite the fact they had
Really?
a great voice for him.
I love the characterization of Ultron. I thought it was
There were
so
some
good.
logic jumps that I didn't like, and but I feel like both Avengers movies kind of sit in the middle of their cinematic pack. So I'm very much looking forward to the Captain America movies, Civil War, because the Cap movies are my 1 and 2.
Winter
favorite
Soldier
Marvel
was
movies.
good.
Yeah, that's my favorite
Really
Marvel
good.
film, and followed by the first Cap.
I will
movies,
agree.
so.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
First
they-
Captain, not so much.
So
I
I always
didn't care a lot about
expect
that one.
more from the Avengers movies, and I just don't quite get it.
That met my
I'm kind of
expectations.
glad that we're getting different director for the third one. It's the Civil War guys, or the Captain America guys from Winter Soldier. So
I'm glad they killed off their horrible version of Quicksilver. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but I love
don't
the
know.
actor. I was so
loved
upset.
the Days of Future Past.
yeah,
Quicksilver was
yeah,
way better.
Yeah, he was entertaining. I was actually surprised they did it, but at the
it's
same
the-
time, I think it was we did it. Fuck you, Fox. You can have him.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
really that's why they killed him.
I thought it was going to be Hawkeye because we spent all this time like developing that character.
Oh yeah, they
And it's like,
gave
that's
us.
this guy you just met. Oh,
Yeah.
our heartstrings.
Well, let's face
I
it.
know, yeah. It was like it's all this backstory. He's the guy in the old war movies who's like, "This is my girl back home," and then he dies.
Yeah,
And
he totally
if they
did.
kill him, it can't be to number 3. They didn't even get to play the character properly until the second Avengers movie. He
Yeah,
was
he kinda
possessed
was-
in the first one.
Yeah, he kind of was.
No,
like a
no,
side
he was
note.
possessed in the second one.
No, first one.
First one,
He was not possessed in the second one.
no. He had the
I really
family in the
love,
second one.
I really love Elizabeth.
Maybe
Olsen.
you like the first Avengers movie and don't like the second
Yeah, maybe
one.
you don't like the second one. I really loved Elizabeth Olsen in this. Thought she was great.
Wasn't the first one? They're kind of just getting everybody together, and the
Yeah.
second one,
And he's possessed
where
by Loki.
Possessed by Loki.
Controls him. Second one, Loki's
Second
not even
one.
in Loki. Loki's not in the second one.
Nope. Ultron
Sorry.
is.
Ultron.
Giant robot.
Robot guy,
Smarty.
Vision, Quicksilver,
Yeah,
Scarlet Witch,
Vision.
nothing. Whole continent being lifted up, or country, no, city.
no, that's
city.
the third one.
No, there's
no
only
third
two.
You are confused.
They're so long that you might think that. Aha!
I love the amount of
The Avengers.
property damage. I was watching Batman Begins, like I said on New Year's Eve. There.
Maybe you need to rewatch them. Maybe those Thor movies you're making
I
into.
hate the Thor movies
Maybe you
with a
love
fucking
them.
passion.
My wife hates Thor. She thinks he's the dorkiest character like ever. Hates him. When I was watching Batman Begins, I was watching him in the Tumblr, like, doing all that property damage. I remember people were, like, outraged, and then Man of Steel came out. So by the time we got Avengers, where they're lifting cities, it's like, it's par for the course. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Right?
2015, also the year everybody got overly fucking sensitive.
Oh, yeah. Well, the next one, I loved it. I loved Elizabeth Olsen.
She was great. Well, you get Elizabeth Olsen and blanking on the guy who was Quicksilver, but they were married couple in Godzilla, so it was always a bit awkward to have a brother and sister and then go back to rewatch Godzilla, and I'm like, ew.
I never have that problem because I wouldn't go back to rewatch Godzilla.
I did recently, actually. I still really enjoyed that movie.
2014, so we're not going to talk about it.
No. Not today.
Yeah,
it's a remake, so we will talk about it.
I didn't see this in the theater because it didn't play in Calgary, but it came out in the same month, and that was Maggie. Did you guys see that?
Still haven't, because I actually was going to go see it opening night, and because I couldn't find a showing anywhere. It never played.
Yeah. I bought it on Blu-ray. I had faith in it. I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I
love it, yeah.
Whether he's given me Maggie or he's given me Kindergarten Cop, I'm entertained. But it was really good. He really played that character with a lot of conviction.
I want to see what his evolution of, like, I'm really interested in to see the evolution of his career, because let's face it, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, you can't pull off this action stuff much longer. I think he barely got away with it in Terminator Genisys this year. I really enjoyed that movie.
I love that movie. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that movie a lot. It was surprisingly fun, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, and having the nostalgia I did while watching it. He can't get away with this much longer.
No, I wanted to watch Maggie with the wife, and she just wasn't interested. And then I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, you would have hated it. Because it's a really slow, dramatic movie. It's not
which
an
I totally want to see, because we really haven't seen him do that.
I want to see him do that.
Honestly, I don't think we've seen him do a dramatic piece in Stay Hungry really early in his career, which, was about a bodybuilder stretch.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was one I'm trying to remember that we saw. My friend got on Blu-ray where he plays like this this guy who's in charge of a DEA crew and... Sabotage, yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember that movie. I've seen it.
It wasn't bad. I think
don't remember anything about that. Yeah. Oh, when I saw Maggie coming up, and it kind of faded from memory when I couldn't go see it when I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wasn't expecting a zombie movie. I was expecting a slow, more introspective piece out of it, and
it's really great.
Yeah,
it's really great. And I watched the special features that were on the Blu-ray, and
I'll have to borrow that from you.
They didn't expect Schwarzenegger to want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he approached them,
really?
and
that's
then
cool.
And then they were like, maybe they like questioned, like, oh, can he do this? Should we cast him?
Mm-hmm.
They were a little skeptical, and then of course they cast him, and there's some really...
And it did financially flop, but... I don't know. It might not
limited theatrical release.
Yeah, it might have not even been anything to do with him.
What opened at
if
that
you don't
time
market or distribute it properly?
That killed the box office.
Avengers.
Oh, Avengers killed. That's why. Yeah,
I wanted week.
I wanted to see Maggie on opening week rather than Avengers, and the same thing happened during Star Wars. When Star Wars opened, there was another small movie I wanted to see with Henry Rollins. I've talked about it in a prior podcast.
Oh yeah,
what was the name of that one?
He's Not Dead or whatever.
I'm blanking on
it's
the
something
name
like that.
of it
He's
right
not
now.
dead.
But it was this really cool looking smaller budget action movie with him as playing the biblical Cain.
Nice. Then May was still in May. The other big by Mad Max Fury Road, which we touched on. Ishtar 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ishtar 2, the drive-in.
Not Ishtar 2.
The driving.
And then this movie, this was poor planning. Apparently, Mad Max Fury Road and Pitch Perfect 2 came out on the same day.
I know.
Which one do you think did better?
Well, I'm sure it was Mad Max, but keep in mind that they're two different audiences entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Pitch Perfect did very well.
You can have a group of people go into the theater, and you can split them in the middle, and we're going to watch this, we're going to watch this, and both are happy.
Yeah, and I can tell you right now, anybody who willingly goes to see something like Pitch Perfect is not going to Mad Max ever.
I went to Mad Max, and I also like Pitch Perfect.
There was a lot of...
You went to Pitch Perfect?
I've seen Pitch Perfect 2. It's not as good as the first one.
Oh,
but Jesus. I loved Pitch Perfect. The first Pitch Perfect movie, Pitch Perfect. It's great.
Isn't it just a remake of the one with Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell?
Oh, God.
You know the one? What is that called?
Oh,
There's no crying in baseball. It's got Tom Hanks.
No.
Oh,
you guys
really?
have no fucking idea.
Okay, that I wasn't
baseball.
expecting. That's baseball.
That's a baseball movie.
Don't group me into this conversation.
Well,
I didn't think he was
What
talking
is
about
Pitch
that.
Perfect about?
It's
Isn't it about baseball?
no.
No,
not
it's,
interested.
It's a musical.
I only watch baseball movies with Tom Hanks and Madonna.
I'm
Oh, well,
interested.
then how do you
in-
know about any of these fucking movies on your little
I'm
list
not going to
there?
knock Pitch Perfect. I'm very interested in Pitch Perfect. I like musicals, but it's, when you got, Mad Max and Age of Apocalypse. And,
I know what you're saying. Like, that
X-Men and
release
Avengers
date is not good
movies and-
for it.
Yeah,
I getcha.
And, I'm going to go see Avengers, right? Although I wanted to go see a Schwarzenegger movie more, but that's the 80s
I really
action
wanted to
kid
do it
in
too,
me,
and we
so.
couldn't find a date for it anywhere.
Yeah.
I think it played in 2 theaters in Canada for Maggie.
Yeah, see, you
Oh,
know what?
probably
I'm
Toronto,
finding that to be an increasingly big problem with me. Like, I'll find out about like this small movie that I totally want to see, and I can't find a theater in Calgary that has it. Like,
Well, that was also...
I'll have to look in other sources to find movies I want to see.
And that was another
Home
thing.
video,
that
you
was
mean.
something Tarantino said recently. I mean, he's been a whiny little bitch boy lately, but
Lately.
in my opinion, and he was
Because I'll go out and pay money to watch it. I just
hateful-
need the opportunity.
He's trying to run Hateful Eight in a format no one has a projector for.
Don't
be a dick.
Well, one, he wasn't even going to make it because he got whiny about the script release that leaked out, and then. Everybody said he took it on the road or whatever, and as a stage production, and people said, "You got to make this as a movie." People won't care. Let's face it. How many people are going to seek out the script anyway? It's
Yeah,
probably
I don't
not nearly as many people who are illegally downloading it. And then Hateful Eight comes out, and now he's whining about Disney sniping the theaters. I'm like. Okay, back up, Mr. Tarantino, if you think Hateful Eight's not going to get a fair release. The Disney doesn't do the bookings. The theaters do. They book what they want, and hey, what's going to make money?
Gee, is it going to be
Guaranteed. I bet you Hateful Eight will do okay, but you're opening
this
against
like little indie Star Wars movie that's going to be good.
These guys are...
tiny thing you might have
let's
heard of.
not rake in a bunch of cash. Yeah, they're going to make that choice. That's not Disney's fault. That's not even anybody's fault.
It's really
that is
it's the theater.
business.
Yeah, that's how I saw it opening weekend.
Yeah.
The theater actually took stuff out to put Star Wars on more screens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And it's a
they did
shame.
that at a
I
few
mean,
places.
good luck trying to see anything else. I mean, I'm sure entire multiplexes were filled with nothing but Star Wars.
And why not?
And why not? Because it's money.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if you guys know this,
And I
but
won't
Star
blame
Wars
them
has
anything
mass
for that.
appeal and has been around for 38 years.
Yeah.
Everyone will want to go.
I want to
Yes.
see Hateful Eight. I totally do. But, I totally get that as well. If I can't find Hateful Eight because of Star Wars, I'm not going to blame Star Wars or the theaters. And that was the same thing. I wasn't too angry about Maggie because at the end of the day, I get it. I was disappointed I didn't get to go see it, but, I'll see it eventually because everything gets a DVD release or Netflix release or whatever. I'll get to see that movie eventually.
The next one I saw in the theater was a remake.
Oh.
I went with a friend to see Poltergeist.
See, I haven't seen that one. How
I
was
haven't
it?
either.
Poltergeist,
We
the
will
original,
cover this.
The original Poltergeist is very near and dear to my heart. I love that movie. I think it's probably...
See, it's decent. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's decent.
I would almost say it's perfect. I really love that movie. It stands
for
up
its
so
genre.
well.
I think it's
For its genre.
It's decent for its genre. Yeah, it's strong. It's very strong.
It's probably the number one in its past.
So this Poltergeist plays off... I mean, it's modern, so the staticky TV thing doesn't really...
Yeah, that's not going to work
That's
very
not
well.
relevant, so they do it in a different way.
Does that happen with 50-inch flat screens?
According,
Yeah, I don't know.
according to this Poltergeist movie, yes.
Oh,
but
okay.
it can, I guess. I have staticky on channel 3 or whatever.
I don't know.
have
Maybe your
cable.
cable goes out and does it.
But it starts out actually fairly strong. It's a pretty good, tense movie for the first half. And then Stellan Skarsgård shows up and he's replacing Zelda Rubinstein as the Magic Midget. And
I love Stellan Skarsgård. Okay,
it
I'm
just
watching
falls
it now.
apart when he shows up, and
Oh.
it goes from a tense,
But I love him.
sort of haunt movie to almost a superhero movie.
He's got this great looking show on Netflix right now called River. I can't wait to see.
Well, that makes me sad.
I
'cause
like
he's
him
my
generally.
favorite.
I like him
Yeah.
generally too, but he was it's not even him.
It's how the script goes when he gets there, right?
His character isn't right for that movie, and the way they flip it around as far as the tone of the movie really killed it for me. I'm going to probably watch it again because I do love it. I'm friends with Oliver Robbins, who is the little brother in the original Poltergeist, and I remember him being relatively optimistic about the movie, and then it came out, and he was like completely upset with it.
Okay, I hadn't talked to... We all met him a few years ago at HorrorCon, Trish, and we were all there, and wonderful dude. So
yeah, he's a cool guy.
Hopefully we'll have him on the show at some point.
It would be nice. Yeah, he's a writer-director now. He's put out 3 or 4 movies. The most recent one was called 10,000 Wishes, I believe, which is about a couple that are going to commit suicide because of crippling debt. So they just go crazy before that happens. I haven't seen it.
I was going to do a shout out, but that just sounds depressing.
That's very depressing. But that's a good one. So check that out. That was
Actually, no, I'd watch that. Screw that. That's good.
Shout out to Oliver Robbins. Holla!
That's a bold movie. I support that.
I love Poltergeist so much. The remake, it was okay. First half was good.
Yeah, maybe do you think it's like limitations with like having some of the older ideas, like a staticky TV doesn't really play?
This is something we argued about when we were part of our inception of the show. When we talk about remakes,
you redo it now?
It is what I consider in the holy cow category. You are already on an uphill battle against people who love it already. This is already a very good movie. So, now you're remaking something that's already really good, and you've got to try to capture that again.
They tried to modernize it, but
it's hard.
The thing with the original Poltergeist is, while being made in the 80s, it still is a little bit out of time. Like, it doesn't... I mean, there's the coaches' outfits or whatever. I can't remember the actor's name. But it stands up. Like
Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson, thank you. Yeah, Craig T. Nelson looks a little bit out of the 70s with his short shorts and his tank tops or whatever. But
no, that was stone cold 80s.
Yeah,
I swear to God.
Well, I mean, fashions change or whatever, and those always stand out when you're watching older movies.
It's not too in your face.
But the technology is pretty much the thing that sometimes you can find is hard to redo or repurpose.
And I don't think that's
like
enough
the Matrix
motivation.
With all their flip phones.
Yeah, and it's not enough motivation to remake something that's good.
Yes.
We need to give them proper cell phones. We need to update their clothing. That shouldn't be a factor. If anything, I would have kept that movie in the 80s.
It had the guy...
you don't have to remake it as now.
No.
The new Poltergeist had the guy from Moon. Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell's wonderful.
And he was pretty good in this. He wasn't great, but again, I think the script was a little weak. I didn't look into this movie at all because I don't care that much, but I wonder if it maybe got some rewrites in the middle to make it a little more action-y. I don't know, because I haven't seen a lot of the newer ghost movies, but are they all kind of very
no, not really. They take a while to get going. They're all kind of slow burn.
They take a while. They're mostly slow burn, but that's what a good ghost
story is about.
Movie is. It's like you're supposed to, and it's what I think they really have to get a hold of and understand is most ghost movies is what you can't see. Let your mind run away with you. You don't need technology to do that. That's a couple
things of Poltergeist that bothered me, that they physically manifest a couple times. And I'm it's not a poltergeist.
And that's the thing. It should be this unknowable thing in the back of your mind. That's what makes it creepy. That's why when you go home after a really good scary movie, you look around your house, or if you hear anything creak, you freak the fuck out. That's a good movie.
Yeah, I saw a thing that said if you're feeling lonely, turn out the lights and watch a horror movie, and you won't feel like you're alone anymore.
Yes,
that's pretty funny.
That's so true.
Well, the next big one in the theater was Tomorrowland, which I saw the preview for when I was at Disney, but I never saw the movie.
I have seen the movie.
How is it? I didn't watch.
Okay, so you guys, another one. It's a bit too preachy in its message. It's based on a ride.
That's gone.
That's gone. And they had a really neat concept, and then it just turned into a commentary piece, and that it became too heavy-handed in its message.
What's the ride it's based on?
Tomorrowland.
I've never been to Disney.
Oh,
well, actually, no, it's not a ride.
It wasn't a ride.
It was a section.
It was Disney's vision of the future.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it was. It was
kind of a World's Fair.
In Captain America, where there's the world of tomorrow.
Oh,
and in fact, in the movie, it does look a lot like a World's Fair kind of city.
It looked interesting, and I just actually never got around to it.
Yeah. It's a really neat idea. And yeah, I think because they got so heavy-handed with it, and it's Brad Bird. Like it's a good-looking movie, and it's entertaining most of the way.
Brad Bird, the director of John Carter, the greatest Disney movie ever made.
He didn't direct that.
Didn't he do that?
No.
Was that the other guy?
He did The
Pixar?
Incredibles, I think.
Yeah, he did. He's an animation director, and he did Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
number
did.
3.
Which there was
5.
also another
Number 5?
Rogue Nation was this year.
Okay,
That
4?
was 4. It would have been
4 was Rogue Protocol?
Yeah.
It's hard. There's a lot of Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that's what happens when you stop numbering people.
Yeah, we need numbers, guys.
It's confusing.
Maybe it's so that you can do like in a different order.
It's just because I watched Rogue Nation last night. So again, I did really thoroughly enjoy it, and that's part of my 2015 theatrical. Is I saw a lot of just fun popcorn movies, because there's that dumb thing where he's diving in the giant hard drive, and it's just ludicrous, but it is such a fun
It's
movie.
ridiculous.
It's those Mission Impossibles just get more entertaining as they go along, because I really hate the first one, and
I
they
like
just
the
seem
first
to
one,
get
and I
they seem to get
don't
better
really
and
enjoy
better
the rest
for
of them.
me.
I like the first one. It was the John Woo one.
The second one?
Yeah, that really.
I didn't like that one.
It was like
I didn't mind it at the time because there was John
I
Woo
didn't
was
like
the
it at
flavor of
all.
the week.
the
so-
design of the movie was just dumb. Like when he walks in that thing and all those pigeons are slow motion. I was like, "Fuck off! It's Mission Impossible."
he was
Woo.
he was doing what he did.
He was just
in
wooing it up.
China.
He was
and-
wooing it up, and it didn't woo me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna correct myself with John.
It's
John
not a good
Carter
movie.
was directed
It's
by
not.
Andrew Stanton, who is a Pixar guy. He did WALL-E, Finding Nemo, Bugs
okay.
Life, and I just mixed them up. But
Yeah.
so we
Okay,
went from
so-
WALL-E, which is one of probably the greatest
And
animated movies ever made.
I'm not
to John
going to
Carter.
take anything away from John Carter, because I think it's an underrated movie that suffered more from mismarketing and people bagging on it having not ever seen it.
Well, that's the
'cause
thing. Like,
it's a good
I had no
movie.
idea what it was about watching it.
And for somebody like me who likes John Carter as a whole.
See, but that's the thing. Like,
That's
you
why I didn't like it, because I read
it
the
was
books
pretty good.
right before.
Oh,
and
too close.
And the John Carter character isn't John Carter in the books, and that really threw me. But I bought it. I'm gonna rewatch it again.
It's all kind of there. All those elements are there.
Just
So-
his characterization was wrong. That's my
Yeah.
only issue with that movie.
Yeah.
It looked great. It was like exactly how I
Yeah,
pictured
it's
it.
a great
There was a lot less
movie.
naked dongs than I was expecting. but
A lot less nudity
lot
as a
less
whole.
nudity as a whole.
Oh, there's more
then
nudity in the books?
The next
Oh, yeah.
big one after that was San Andreas. Anybody see that?
I did. Very fun disaster movie with The Rock.
I did want to see it, didn't see it.
It was it kind of goes back to those Roland Emmerich kind of
2012 for 2015.
Yeah.
Roland Emmerich just wants to destroy America.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not Emmerich, but it watches like one of
It
those
watches
kind of
like
movies,
Emmerich, where
right?
it's like everybody's gonna die.
And
I
it's
love
just
it.
it's a blast. It's a great looking movie. When all that earthquake stuff is happening, it's really fun.
The Rock's a lot of
survive the
I was
movie
surprised.
kind of
It's
stuff.
one of those ones where I was surprised there wasn't another earthquake movie happening right the next day.
There's probably an
Yeah.
asylum.
Like, because remember
movie.
there was like asteroid movies happening at the same time,
Well, yeah,
volcano movies happening
when
at the same time.
when they did
and,
all
like,
those disaster movies, there was always two.
yeah,
of the
and then
same
there was
type.
like a freezing over the Earth at the same time.
2012.
Well, let's face it, it's not that in vogue genre at the moment. So every now and again one leaks out, but it's still not the thing right now.
Yeah,
And
disaster's kind of taken a slump since
It's-
the
it's-
70s golden age of
it's
disaster
comic
movies.
book movies right
Really,
now.
no, late '90s. I thought was when the disaster movies were doing great.
Well,
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
they
It was
were.
90s.
Yeah, Volcano
Yeah,
and
90s.
Volcano,
Dante's Peak,
Armageddon,
Deep
Yeah.
Impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were a lot in the 90s.
Day After Tomorrow.
I mean, we're
That was
probably
way later, wasn't it?
Was it? No, I thought it was
Well,
2005.
it'll come
at
around.
least.
It'll come around again where we'll get another rash of them. But I think the comic book movies need to die down, and that's where all the disaster.
Yeah, they're putting their money there because they're getting money
Yeah.
back.
Did you see Man of Steel? That's a disaster movie.
It's a disaster
That
movie
whole
for
city
sure.
gets
It truly
fucking
is.
leveled.
Well, that's just it.
Spoiler
There's
alert.
a lot of disaster in comic book movies.
A lot. It's
there's a whole.
unreal.
You think what happened in Man of Steel was bad? Just the Age of Ultron people.
Yeah.
Both Avengers movies. My gosh.
But at least Age of Ultron, it's nice to know that they went to a different country to destroy it for a
Oh, it's
change.
fine when it's foreigners, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Nobody
well,
bitched when it was
Well,
foreigners.
actually, no. Here's the one
It was a
thing I
fictional
find about it. Like
nation.
all the superhero movies is like, oh no, we have to save like the world. No, just the developed part of the world. We want to save the world where we have Wi-Fi. We don't give a shit about the other tiny parts of the
Iron
world.
Man's armor doesn't work outside of the Shaw Wi-Fi zone.
Yeah,
so.
fuck those other small countries where shit happens. We don't care about them.
Next big one for me was Jurassic World. Anybody see anything in between that? Insidious or any of that stuff?
I saw Spy. I loved Spy.
That was the
That was
comedy
Melissa
one
McCarthy,
with Melissa McCarthy
with Jason Statham doing the most insane thing. Like, it was he just goes on and on, like playing his hard man character, but for laughs, like just saying the most batshit crazy things because he's just like, he thinks he's this super spy. He's not. And like, she starts off as like this little kind of very quiet, like secretarial. She's in the office, but she is actually a full-fledged spy. Like, she's got an agent status within the CIA, and so they send her out just, to kind of report back, but then gets herself all involved, and it's fucking great. There's a transformation.
Like Archer the movie, basically.
No, it's she starts off not being like that good, but by the end, like, just the transformation in her, and like, Jason Statham is so fucking funny in this movie. He's great.
I love how Melissa McCarthy's career is really taken off.
And it's phenomenal.
Like, she's really entertaining
At the end of it, I wanted to see Spy 2, because that's the other thing about this movie is this is a great character, and you can totally create other movies with her in it. It's fantastic.
Is she attached to Ghostbusters? Because she should be.
She is, yeah.
She is? Okay, good.
She is.
She was actually the one person when they were talking about the all-female cast. I'm like, they need Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah,
she's got to be the.
She would have been my first
She's
choice.
got to be the Bill Murray character, the funny.
Yeah,
she's
right?
she's the non-SNL one. When you look at like the Ghostbusters casting is exactly like the original casting.
Lots of SNL people.
A lot of SNL guys.
A lot of
Girls.
SNL guys. One non-SNL person, and of
That's
course the black
Melissa.
person.
Well, I got to add one.
Because you have, in the original one, you had Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, who are both SNL guys. Harold Ramis was not an SNL guy, but had been in other movies with the other...
He still has the
with Bill
Second
Murray.
City connection.
But had been in other movies with the other people. Like, he was in...
I'd actually
Stretch with Bill
say,
Murray.
you say SNL, I'd say all three of them were Second City, so...
Was Ramis on Second City? I don't think he was.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
If nothing else, I mean, they work together so often, the three of them.
That's the thing.
That's their
Yeah.
connection.
Like,
Oh my
Melissa
God, Stripes.
Melissa
Yeah.
McCarthy wasn't SNL, but she had worked with Kristen Wiig and who else was there? The other chick in Bridesmaids. So they have a working relationship. So
I
it's
could remember the movie with
it's the exact same casting.
the Melissa McCarthy that I had watched, but like she was hilarious. Her like I know she's out of vogue now, but I was hoping they'd toss Tina Fey in there just because I think she's funny. But
She would be great as like a managerial Ghostbusters thing.
I just thought she would make a good.
Well, since they're reversing the sex, they need to have like a dude be the secretary.
That's what they did.
They did?
Did they? Oh,
It's
nice.
Chris,
That's awesome.
Chris Hemsworth is the secretary.
Oh, they even went the beefcake.
Chris Hemsworth is Janine. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That totally works with that cast, though.
Yeah.
Like, of
Totally.
course they would.
I'm cautiously optimistic about that movie. I think it'd be good.
It'd be
I love
like-
the Ecto one because it's like some
Give him the job
shitty
as long as he
station
never wears
Yep.
a shirt, right?
Exactly. Well, and the only thing I hate it, like I've seen the stills. The only thing is like I just don't like their outfits. Like it just looks weird. They had to like do something strange with like their jumpsuits. I'm like, I like the nondescript Ghostbuster utilitarian jumpsuit.
I saw a picture.
I thought that was a great idea.
I thought it looked pretty good. I saw a picture of the proton packs, and they look a lot more homemade. They're less slick than
I thought so, too,
which I thought was
yeah.
interesting because they
Yeah.
would be homemade. So, and I love the like the Ecto one in the new movie is nowhere near as cool as the Ecto one in the original Ghostbusters, being that old hearse or
Yeah.
ambulance. Sorry, but I love the shitty '80s mom-mobile. It's really funny,
Totally
especially with
good.
an all-woman cast. It's just hilarious. We'll see what that happens. So, Jurassic World, everybody see it?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course. I've seen it a couple of times.
But-
it was the number one movie for 2015. Before anybody
True.
argues Star Wars with me, it was the number one moneymaker in 2015.
In 2015, over
I'm
the-
sure Star Wars overall will pass it. So
And I enjoyed it. I was disappointed with a lot of it.
it was what I
Is
expected.
it just the running in heels? That was the one.
No. The whole characterization of that female character pissed me off.
She's kind of a bitch. I don't know.
Well, no, yeah, it's kind of like, let's make this stock character of a woman who's a bitch and just needs a man to show her how to live her life. And that's what they did.
Didn't. You got something out of that I didn't, because I never thought that once. She was
She was
actually
an idiot.
She had to force him to help get out there, and because she was looking for her niece and nephew, she was the one dragging his ass out there.
No, he was going there.
He was the one with the knowledge.
And the billionaire bothered me too. He was the biggest idiot.
That's why we have a feminist on the podcast.
Yeah, but also the billionaire was a giant idiot.
Yeah,
I didn't like him.
But overall, like, when I look at the Jurassic Park franchise, this was the most enjoyable since the original. I'm not saying it's better than Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
but
I would say
it's certainly better than 2 and 3.
Oh, yes, I'm with you on that.
By a huge margin.
For sure.
Those
it's
are
definitely
terrible
better than
movies.
2 and 3.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like all of them. Even Jurassic World I really like. There's like some gigantic dinosaur-sized plot holes in it. But
sure.
It doesn't matter.
true.
Like,
Well, and they
a movie like
they
that.
take care of that in the dialogue, because there's so much. Paleontology as a whole has progressed a lot, but they want it to look mesh with their franchise, and they.
And to
they
be
even
fair,
make
what's
a
the
comment.
best way to do that than to create a new dinosaur?
Yeah, well, they make a comment in there. You wanted entertainment, not reality.
Yeah, you want a bigger, better dinosaur.
And they talk about any inconsistencies that have come up since the first Jurassic Park in science, with the feathers and all that stuff that have come out since. They're just saying, well, that was because of their genetic splicing and merging it with other creatures, and that was established in the first Jurassic Park.
Yes.
So
Yeah, they say they make genetically engineered theme park
and
monsters.
fill in the genes with other existing species.
I remember a friend was really upset. It was too much Starbucks product placement, and it ruined the movie. And I watched, and there was 2 scenes. I'm like, sorry, those 2 scenes ruined the movie for you there, but maybe you shouldn't be so wound up about it.
I have to say though, the one with the raptors.
The Jimmy Fallon in the little
pod,
so lame. But
it was bad. But I liked with Blue, who was like the alpha female raptor thing. I love that.
Yeah, I really liked all that raptor stuff.
Yeah, they looked really dumb in the trailers, I'll be honest, with the trained raptors, but it worked. I think they handled it
did
well.
work.
Yeah, once you get into the story,
they still made the T-Rex
usable.
the big hero character, which is always kind of weird.
Yeah,
because they really do go to their way to try to make certain dinosaurs heroic, and it's not like they're thinking that when I'm going to save the humans. No, I'm just going to beat this other dinosaur so I can get to the food first. Yeah. That's what that's about.
And he had help from the raptors that injured him. There's
and then there was also the big fish one that finally finished the job.
Mosasaur.
Yeah.
That was funny. I thought that was really cool.
Boy, I thought they were unnecessarily mean to that shitty babysitter, but I'm like, wow,
know,
did she ever get it? Eh?
Holy, that was malicious.
She has the worst death, and her biggest fault was she was just working for the wrong person.
She was constantly texting. She's bad at her job. I'm like, okay, she should have got fired, but ew, that was unnecessary.
There's a documentary there's a documentary that came out the same time period called The Wolf Pack, which was about 5 brothers that were they were never allowed to leave their apartment.
Yeah, they were stuck there for years.
They just had TV, and then they would do their own versions of Usual Suspects and stuff like that. And I have not watched it yet because I actually forgot about it. It got washed away with Jurassic World and a few other things.
Yeah.
But I noticed that it's on Netflix, so I have added it to my list.
I gotta add
but
that.
It sounded really interesting. And then the next big one was Inside Out, which I didn't see, but
I saw it. It's fine, and it was. There was something different about it, and I couldn't put my finger on it until one of my friends basically had pointed it out for me, and I'm pretty sure he's right. Inside Out is not a movie for children. It's for adults.
Well, I think it falls in the similar category as Up. There's some pretty heavy themes in there.
Up is with children.
I think it's a shoe-in for best animated picture for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually on the best picture list. It's not going to win, but it'll win best animated.
But
feature.
I think Up would appeal to children, and the whole storyline does appeal to children. With Inside Out, though, is the thought of losing your memories and growing up and all these other things. That's a very adult thing.
Oh,
and
sure.
That's the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
So I don't think kids were as interested in it as adults thought they were. The adults were just sitting there crying, going, "Oh my god, I know how they feel."
I don't know. All my Inside Out merchandise did really well this year, so the kids got what they wanted out of it.
Maybe.
Too. Yeah.
But it's a good movie, and I admit, I'll if I want a good cry, I'll watch Inside Out.
Yeah. Well, then I think that's it.
Watch the first 10 minutes of Up.
Up. Exactly.
Oh, true.
That's
Yeah.
the
If I
most
want to
crying with no dialogue I've ever seen.
Yeah.
want to bawl like a baby, I'll either watch that or Inside Out.
Yeah, they'll do. Pixar's fascinating when they'll do stuff like this. They'll do something really kid-friendly, like Toy Story, whatever. But they always put some sentimental touches in there, and this was probably one of the heaviest of the Pixar canon. Outside of the first 10 minutes of Up, which was a really fun movie, except for those first 10 minutes.
Well, there was the imaginary friend when the imaginary friend Liam buys it, and Up doesn't really Inside Out makes it an Inside Out. They get rid of the imaginary friend.
Makes it dark.
Makes it real dark.
I'll have to check it out. I meant to see it.
There's apparently a cartoon where people were like, "Oh, Ma, he shows up in this other cartoon." It's like there's this theory, like a home for wayward imaginary friends.
Weird.
Well, Pixar does like to reuse things in their movies, so.
But I have to admit, like
make little nods here and there.
The people who are doing the voices for Inside Out, perfect. I thought every single one of them was a good choice.
Yeah. Who's Anger? Black.
Louis Black, yeah. Louis Black was Anger.
Which I think is it was an inspired choice.
Bill Hader was nervousness.
Who's the most
Bill Hader,
angry...
voice consultant for BB-8 from Star Wars? Really?
Yeah. Wow. The one and only Bill Hader. And Mindy Kaling was discussed.
It's like the most bullshit credit I've ever seen. Also, I just want to throw that in there.
I know, yeah, I don't know.
Voice consultant.
It doesn't have a voice. It bleeps and bloops.
I'm glad it didn't speak, because when I saw that, I'm like,
for
"Fuck,
sure.
is this going to be the new Jar Jar?" And it wasn't. So the next big movie, just to move things along. Next big movie, I didn't see this because I don't care. Was Ted 2.
Wait.
I saw the original Ted on Netflix, and that's kind of how I'm going to watch it. I really did enjoy the first Ted, so I'm looking forward to it on my television, but it's not something I would go pay $14 to go see in the theater.
There was a small one. I didn't see Ted 2, but I saw The Overnight, which was a small movie. Pretty good. It's Adam Scott and, oh God, I'm trying to remember the names of everybody else.
Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman. A decent movie. An interesting little premise, and it doesn't need a lot, but it gets you. Like, a lot of shit happens. It's really good. Like, if you think having kids, your life is over, this movie will show you no, lots of crazy shit can still happen to you. It's great.
And then July 1st, of course, a movie that, a sequel that came down the pipe that we were waiting for. The return of a huge cast. We were so excited.
Yes.
Of course, I'm talking about Magic Mike XXL.
I never saw the first one, so.
Yeah.
I saw the first one. I didn't see this. I haven't seen this one yet. I feel I just should.
I was kind of joking.
Otherwise, I have to turn to my ovaries. I don't know what's
happening. Turn off your ovaries. I didn't see.
You know how to turn your gun and badge? I have to give back my ovaries.
You have to give them back.
Fair enough.
It's like, I won't be needing these anymore.
Turn in your ovaries and vagina. Fine.
Yeah.
I'll crack this case on my own.
Yeah, I haven't seen Magic Mike. I always just feel like they're just the Full Monty over and over again. So,
well, that's just it. I love the Full Monty, and
the Full Monty is about doing it just to make some money, and we're not great naked.
Well, yeah, Magic Mike is a similar movie with people that women actually want to see on stage naked.
Kind of, but Magic Mike, it's weird. Magic Mike, the first one, was a weird amalgamation of things. Like, it was Steven Soderbergh, so it was him doing Soderbergh, but trying to do stripping. Like, I think the original script of it was much lighter, and you can see moments of that, but then they add, like, a sort of a drug addiction bit and like doing crazy
so
shit.
Showgirl?
Was this the first one or the second one?
The first one, but the second one is like a road trip trying to reclaim their glory. I think the second one is going to be a lighter movie.
Well, is that what went wrong? Because the first one was a huge hit. This one was not.
No, I think the first one was a huge hit because women wanted to watch it, and then they're like, yeah, it's a little too dark, and they didn't come to see the next one because they probably thought it wouldn't be as much fun.
Or they'd be like, well, we've seen him. We want somebody else to look at.
Joe Manganiello, I'll watch that again and again. I will pause it.
If it was if this movie was released on VHS and you went to rent it, it would just be fuzzy because of all the rewinding, right?
Yeah.
That's how you knew tits were coming in the 80s, right?
Yes.
You would just like get fuzzy, you're like, whoa, somebody's taking their shirt off.
And then you couldn't see it anyway because of all the tracking lines.
But of course, the first day, and kind of what I was setting up for, but Trish was on to me, was the same day, Terminator Genisys.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't split the box office.
No, it did not. It
didn't.
Well, it's that Pitch Perfect 2 Mad Max type of deal.
Exactly the same thing.
It was, again, I think a lot of people are. I think it's just a franchise that needs to be put to bed. Like, it was a really enjoyable movie. I liked it a lot, but
I had a lot
people
of fun.
didn't care.
I really loved the retelling. I loved, because I'm such a fan of the series, all the visual similarities. They would recreate scenes.
Oh, the visual cues were great,
stellar.
and in the case of the recasting on the T1000, they still found somebody visually similar, and
yeah, he had a good look, and I wish that character
it was
was
a different
bigger.
guy. Yeah,
kind of just like faded away or whatever. I thought
they
Sarah
nods
Connor,
to pretty much all of the Terminator movies.
Maybe I'll have
within
to
this.
take a look at it.
Yeah.
'cause that last Terminator movie I was so pissed off.
You know, like it's
Christian Bale playing Batman, playing John Connor. You didn't
It
like
takes place in the same.
Is there robots here?
It takes place
And
in the
Bryce Dallas
same
Howard doing
same
her
time
usual
as the
role.
first movie.
It takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, it takes
Okay.
place
And they
in the
do
80s.
I think
this
a
then.
really good job of retelling
Yeah.
it and showing that time period, and it was fun. It was a fun movie. It's not perfect.
Yeah,
but it was
except
fun.
they've kind of retconned their own history because you know.
But it makes sense. They do it in a way that makes sense.
They do it in a way that makes
Okay.
sense, and it's kind of how they went and did Star Trek in the theaters. You know.
And I
Oh yeah, you
thought
just reboot,
John-
Well,
beginning.
no, it wasn't
Not
but they without erasing anything. Like they went
Yeah.
back in time, created an alternate timeline, and in Star Trek, and that became its own thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're doing here as well. They're acknowledging everything that happened before,
But now it's new.
But now things have changed
As far as time
because
travel
time
goes,
travel
they
is
handled it
wibbly
well.
wobbly.
Yeah.
It is wibbly wobbly. I really thought that Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor had great chemistry, the two actors. There's some hilarious bits, like when they're going to teleport, and she's like, well, clothes can't go through, and she's like, I know how time travel works. I thought it was funny. But there's a lot of really good stuff. The thing I hated about this movie, and it's not even the movie, and this is why, as of July 1st, I stopped watching trailers. Because they show you that John Connor is a fucking robot in the trailer. So they spoil the biggest reveal in the movie.
I don't think I even
Oh.
saw that.
Oh, spoiler alert, John Connor is a robot.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, really annoying. Oh my god, July 10th, the gallows.
Okay.
Crap, move on.
Oh, well,
What
you
is
know,
it?
and it sounds like I dodged a bullet because I could have gone to see this movie 3 times for free. That's how often they were giving away screeners for this
It's
thing.
the
3
worst.
different occasions I could have gone to this movie, and I just couldn't be bothered to
What
leave
could
work
tell you is
early.
I know nothing about it.
I saw it for free as well.
What is it?
It is okay. My friend Amelia, if you're listening, Amelia, I'm going to quote you. Put this the best. It is a really shitty episode of Goosebumps. That's what she compared it to. It's about a guy who was in high school and an accident happened and he hung himself and then he's out for revenge. And it's like all shot on video because apparently in modern day you can have a handheld camera in school and it's perfectly acceptable to film every waking moment and then use your cell phone when it's dark. And it kind of is turning out like a supernatural slasher. Maybe it's going to be an actual slasher, like it's actually a guy. And then you're theorizing who it's going to be, and you're like, oh, this movie actually might not be terrible in concept. And then they go, no, actually it is Ghost, the end. Fucking retarded. Screw that movie. But Minions came out the same week. Did you see that?
I
didn't
saw
see it.
Minions. I love Minions.
I really love the
I
first.
thought you were going to
Despicable
segue
Me.
into Goosebumps because you saw that too. But
That's
No,
way later.
yeah,
We're
that's
not
way
there
later.
yet.
But I don't. Minions made me think of I don't want children, but I do want a
You
fleet
want
of minions. I do because it's got a great concept where it's like they just need an evil genius to follow. And they want that so badly. So 3 of them boldly go on a search to find their new master. And it's really fun. There's a tiny little minion. His name's Bob. He's the cutest.
I haven't. I saw the first 2, the Despicable Me's, but I haven't seen Minions yet. And yeah, it totally looks like a blast.
This one ends when they meet
They're
Gru.
my
It's
favorite
perfect.
parts of those movies.
Sandra Bullock is this super evil genius, and she's great.
I love her.
Her husband is played by John Hamm, also fantastic.
Awesome.
You'd think when you see the little minions in the Despicable Me's, you're going, "Oh, is there enough meat there to really watch them for?" a
Well,
whole
especially
movie?
for some creatures that don't speak English.
And there is. There completely is. You're just on board with it because they're so vibrant and you know what they're thinking and what they're trying to do. That you don't need them to speak English. You can totally understand what's going on.
I didn't see Minions, but I went to Disney and Universal Studios in Anaheim before this movie came out. So they were hyping the living you couldn't walk anywhere without tripping over Minions stuff. But there was this Minions 3D ride that we did in Universal,
that'd be cool.
and it was super fun. And I imagine but it's like super entertaining, and they're entertaining characters. I really love the first Despicable Me. I haven't seen the second one. I kind of missed it in theater, and then just have kept missing it because apparently I'm going to the gallows instead.
Second one's a romance.
Yeah, it would still be good. I really like.
There are terrible movies in a year.
There are. I really
there are
like
probably
Steve
more terrible
Carell,
ones than good ones.
Yeah. And it's what the difference is that they did with it that I wasn't sure of. Like in the first Despicable Me, I thought that he made them, but that's not the case. Like they've just always been around.
Oh yeah, it does seem like he made them.
I know, yeah,
Despicable
that's what
Me
I was always confusing. So like to make this, they had to be like they existed before Gru. They just found Gru. And that's how that came together.
Gru didn't grow them, is what you're saying.
Gru didn't grow him.
Yeah.
But he grew to love them.
He grew to love him.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I know.
I should write taglines for movies. July 17th, I saw this 3 days later for my birthday. Biggest superhero movie of the year after
Ant-Man.
Avengers.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Liked Ant-Man.
I liked it a lot. It is the probably the most Disney family-friendly
For sure.
type of Marvel movie we've gotten, but it's okay with this one. Like, I don't want to see all Marvel movies look like Ant-Man, but it works for Ant-Man.
It was
Yes.
very,
It's-
very funny.
Yeah, it was a fun, entertaining movie. I was basically expecting Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with capes, and that's
Yeah.
pretty much what
you
I
got.
got.
No capes.
And
They've all seen The Incredibles.
and
They
the
know.
action sequences at micro level were fantastic. They're energetic and funny all at the same time, and it
The
finds a
training
really
montage is
good
fun.
The
balance.
training stuff is fun.
Yeah, and
The strong female lead was maybe a little too strong. Like, I think they pushed that too hard.
Well,
and it made her
I
seem
think-
headstrong rather
Yeah.
than strong.
I think they were trying to get it because they're trying to put it in the head for like what they were doing the next one.
I'm
Yeah.
certainly interested to see how the next one goes, because despite having a different director on this, I see a lot of Edgar Wright still in this movie
Totally.
There was
from his
totally a lot of it.
development. So I'm really interested to see the director that came in and see what his vision actually looks like, because he pretty much was just a hired gun because they were
Yeah.
ready to go into
He
production.
did fantastic. It was,
And he did a great
He did
job.
good.
It was awesome.
It's a really entertaining movie, and I'm
it's
looking
well
forward
cast.
to Ant-Man.
You know what?
to watch.
Actually,
It's well
Ant-Man
cast.
is
Yeah.
basically the story of Iron Man. Like, they parallel each
Yeah,
other. Like,
I think so.
Yes.
But it's a formula that works, and it was entertaining. Although with Paul Rudd, the whole time I look at his face, I'm just like, slap at a bass. See, I love you, man.
I
Slap
got to
at a
give him
bass.
credit. He definitely worked out like a lot of the other guys. I guess he didn't want to look bad. So
I think so, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
they're like,
did
it's going to be a superhero
he did a
movie.
really
I
good
better
job.
work
Yeah.
out.
And
You know.
Ant-Man looked great.
Yeah,
Visually, like, nailed it.
Yeah,
It
the
was
costumes
awesome.
looked great.
My wife was so confused because she loves Ant-Man. We started watching the animated Avengers cartoon that came out after the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And
those are pretty good.
yeah, and it has like Hank Pym and he's Ant-Man and she was like, "What the fuck is Ant-Man? This is stupid." And about 3 episodes in, she loved him. And then, I went to your shop and picked up the Ant-Man Essential, which is like the old 60s stuff, right?
Yeah.
So she's reading that. So then there's this Ant-Man, but it's this young guy, and he's
Scott
taking
Lang.
this... And she's like, what the hell? What, did I miss something? She's like, how much more would I have had to have read to get to Scott Lang? I'm like, I don't know, 25 years?
Yeah, he's a 70s character.
Yeah,
He's bronze.
so it came out kind of came out of nowhere, but then actually because of Ant-Man the movie, they reissued the Scott Lang stuff.
Yeah.
So I bought her that, and she's caught up now. But yeah, she was like so stoked and loved it, and I loved it. I can't wait.
Yeah,
to,
I'm looking
watch
forward
it
to
again.
seeing Evangeline Lilly as the Wasp in the next one,
Yes.
because we only got
Yeah,
to
that'll
see
be
her
good.
costume, and
She was good.
I love
She was too
Evangeline
headstrong,
Lilly
but
as a whole.
Yeah.
She was a good fit.
She's on my list.
Nice.
I'll pass. What
Michael
else came
Douglas.
out that
Love
week?
that girl.
Nothing.
Oh, Trainwreck.
Oh, did you?
Oh, Trainwreck did very well in the
Trainwreck?
Trainwreck did
theaters.
very well. I saw Trainwreck. I enjoyed it. It's a fun romp. I really do like it.
Oh, the Amy Schumer one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see that actually. That was like she's sleeping around a whole bunch and.
It doesn't like commitment.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
as
actually,
a
you tried
woman
to-
of a certain age, I
I
get
didn't
that.
see it. I think he even tried to invite me to that one.
Yeah, you
and-
did not want to watch it.
No, I didn't. I still don't.
It's good.
I don't
It's a
know.
good
I think it's
movie.
just I don't really like Amy Schumer's sense of humor. So
Well, you don't like comedies.
I'm very
Trying to get you to a comedy is an uphill freaking battle.
It is. It's true. Because they're so bad and derivative most of the time. I'm like, it's got to be a really interesting premise for me to go. Like Up in the Air, I really liked, which was the same guy who did Thank You for Smoking, and that's
I
kind
joined that,
of really.
but I don't think that's a comedy.
That's the stuff I really like.
Okay, that's not a comedy.
No,
I really
they're
love-
comedies to me. Thank You for Smoking's a comedy. It's
I can
just,
count on like
Oh no,
one
that is a
hand
comedy,
how
but
I'm
Up in the
same-
Air is not a comedy.
well, no, it's a more dramatic piece, but it's got a lot of that sense of humor to it.
Well, the next big one is a comedy. I didn't see it because it was getting panned horribly by everybody, and the cast was bad, and I didn't want to see it. And it came out on video, on DVD, and my brother was like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "Ugh." He's like, "Get out of your own way and just watch it. It's really entertaining." And I watched it, and it was incredibly entertaining. And that movie is Pixels.
I'm interested in Pixels. I think I got scared away from it because of the bad press on it, but
And Adam
I'm
Sandler.
still, yeah. I knew about Adam Sandler going in.
And
like,
I'm fine.
You know,
No.
I watched it with Heather. Heather doesn't like anything. Turn your brain off. It's an entertaining movie.
Yeah,
it's not great. I probably wouldn't watch it again. But
yeah,
it's
I'm
entertaining.
not crazy about Adam Sandler movies, but that said, I love Happy Gilmore, so like I'm willing to forgive that.
Yeah,
I'm
he was
willing
good
to
in
give
that
him,
time period, though.
You know, and
Yeah.
I liked Bedtime Stories as well. That was, he can be okay.
I liked when I first heard
And-
about it. I liked the concept of it.
Honestly, he didn't look like the central part of the conceit, though. I just wanted to see retro video game stuff destroying shit.
That was it. Yeah, like
You know?
I liked the idea of it.
Yeah, I love the idea.
I think what turned me off was the casting, not so much
casting's
the
not so great.
idea.
But I recommend checking it out, especially if you can watch it on Netflix or borrow it. That's the way to see it.
Well, like I said, I didn't get to see it, so yeah, that's probably where I'm going to have to watch it. But it's still something I'm interested in. So
Anything in between that and Mission Impossible, Trish? Did you get a chance to see?
No, I didn't.
Did anybody see Mission Impossible?
I've seen it
Did
a couple
see
of
Mission
times.
Impossible, yeah.
No, I did not.
Yes, like I said earlier in the podcast, they are.
It's a good mindless popcorn.
Yeah,
movie.
it's a good mindless popcorn movie. I think the Mission Impossibles just seem to get better and better as they go
They
along.
do go bigger. It
And,
seems they're trying to figure out bigger things each and every time.
And they keep trying to figure out what cast they want to use.
I know, right?
It's taken them 5 movies, I think, to put it together.
Yeah.
You know,
As long as Simon Pegg's still there, then I'll watch it.
Yeah, Simon Pegg's
he's still
in there.
I love him.
I think Luther Stickles, the only one that's been there through the whole franchise outside of
No, Luther
Tom
wasn't there at
Cruise.
the beginning, was he?
Tom Cruise. I thought he was one of the replacements after his original crew died.
Oh, wait, yeah.
He's the only one there who's been
Holy
up through all
spoiler
5.
That's true.
A spoiler, that movie was what?
98?
Almost 15 years, 20 years old now.
Yeah, I said spoiler alert for the Blob, and that was 1950. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It'll all come around.
If you can't get around to it before you die, you deserve to know the ending.
That's usually how I feel about it.
But yeah, no, it was decent. I don't think they've come upon a satisfying female for any of the movies.
The girl from the Rogue Nation is coming back for the next one.
Okay.
So, and they did have a cameo of one of them in Ghost Protocol. She just showed up right at the end of the movie, but yeah, it looks like they're finally holding on to one.
I know.
Which I've liked a lot of them, and I'm always surprised when they're not around for the next one. So I'm glad somebody's finally coming back.
Yeah. Well, I think she's more of an agent level type this time. So that's
well, you know,
kinda
I get the
why.
well, she was British intelligence in this one, and she'll be probably coming back as IMF.
Yeah, but I mean, looking back, I don't know how many.
Well, I think
the first one she was an agent.
Yeah.
The second one, the thief, not an agent.
Well, I think
Third
they're
one-
realizing, I'm like, they're doing what Fast and the Furious did. They've been slowly putting their cast together over the course of 7 movies, or in this case, 5. You
Fast
know,
and
you
Furious, they
gotta
had it by
start holding
3
on
or
to them.
4.
Yeah, well, I think 5 is where they finally cemented everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it took them 5 movies over there. So we're
Yeah.
at 5. It's time to, if you're going to keep going, like, give us the people we want to see, you know? Like,
And
we
as
like
we
this
say,
character, we
put
like this
numbers
character.
on there. We get confused now because I thought this was 4.
Yeah, they
It's
stopped the
not
numbering
4.
with the 3, so...
Well, August started out a little weak.
Usually the fall months kind of fall into dead man territory again.
I'm not sure. One's a remake, one's a reboot. I didn't hear anything good about one and didn't hear anything at all about the other, but August beginning brought us the newer Fantastic 4.
Well,
Did not want to watch it.
Nobody saw it, and everybody heard about it.
All right, moving on.
I'm going to reserve my judgment until I actually see it. I certainly like some of the concept ideas that I know about the movie. Despite I'm going to have to. It sounds like I'm going to have to turn my comic book geek off, which is sometimes hard for me.
Yeah, because they fucked up Doctor Doom again.
Yeah, well, they've never gotten him right, so why start now?
I didn't watch it. If it shows up on Netflix and there's literally nothing else to watch, I'll maybe give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then the next remake was the remake of a TV show, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Did you see it?
I wanted to. I never got a chance. Things were busy at the time, so
it didn't really wow me. I didn't feel an urge to watch it.
I was a big fan of the television series as a kid because even though I'm too young to have remembered it, it was still in reruns as I got older. So.
On TV, you could still watch it.
Yeah, so Napoleon Solo and all that stuff. I like that. I like spy stuff, like that kind of cheesy spy stuff, like the Bond movies with the gadgets and things like that. I dig like stuff like that.
That and was like not the Avengers, but like the Avengers with the guy with the bowler hat and the umbrella, like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I was very disappointed in that one as a movie. So.
Yeah.
But, the Emma Peel stuff, I
like the TV series was good. Yeah, the movie they made
not so much.
Good.
Not so good.
But the TV series was good.
Yeah, TV series was good.
Anybody, I actually really wanted to see this. I meant to see it in the theater, never got a chance. I'll have to wait for video. But did anybody see Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah, we're now entering the territory where I haven't been at the theater. since my I'm
interested in hip hop culture and hip hop history. I am as white as I sound, in case anyone's wondering. But it's of interest to me, and I'd like to see it. The gangster rap thing was never something I liked. I liked the more 80s pop rap stuff. But interested to see that. Never got a chance. Yeah, we're getting into like...
I can't say I was even
they have,
remotely interested, but it did very well, and I partook in the whole create a straight out of whatever meme on their website.
Not do the meme.
I did about 10 of those.
Yeah, straight out. There's one that we kind of skipped over, but it was a smaller movie, and I bought it on DVD. I haven't watched it yet because I feel I have to be in the right mind frame to watch it. Call Me Lucky. Documentary by Bobcat Goldthwait about this guy.
I heard all about this
in Boston. Like basically one of the pillars of the comedy community at that time, goes back and like doing a documentary on the abuse he suffered.
I didn't even know this had come out already.
I had to go. I couldn't. It came out, and I kept looking for it. This is another one of those instances. I would have gone to the theater in Calgary to go see it, but I couldn't. But luckily, I went to HMV one day, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's right there!" That's how I could find it. Because I couldn't get my hands on it any other way. Yeah,
and that's the thing about these movies that we want, these smaller movies that we wanted to see that never opened. They went to DVD awfully quickly. It's like, here's your festivals, here's your DVD. Despite the fact having a theatrical release wound up only being in 5 regions or whatever. It was a shame because I think some of these movies, like Maggie, probably could have done better than they did.
Like, I'm just wondering with some of these, if they're not going to do it in theaters, at least do like a VOD
or at least, Maggie did VOD.
Okay.
Yeah, or at least save these movies for a better time. I'm like, who thought opening Maggie against Age of Ultron was a good idea? Like, seriously.
Different audience, though.
You know? Well, I mean, even as a zombie piece, I would have opened it in the fall.
Yeah, I would have done it closer to Halloween, for sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of good stuff. The next movie I saw in the theater was in September, so did you catch anything in between then and now?
No, I didn't actually. That was, like you say, there was a lot of stuff there where I was like looking at it going, I'm not going to pay this money to go see it.
Yeah, well, that's just it. It kind of fell in a dead zone.
The ones I wanted to see weren't playing in theaters.
I think during the fall, and well, even now, I started getting into Netflix stuff, and I was getting very excited. I mean, we had Jessica Jones' debut, which I really enjoyed, and I just got through a documentary series that premiered in December on Netflix called Making of a Murderer.
Yeah, my wife's been watching that.
I've heard
right
about
now.
that. I haven't seen it.
Spectacular, engaging. 10 episodes. I get through the first one. It's about a guy who, because initially I thought it was a fictional dramatic piece. I'm like, no, this is a 10-part
like
documentary
the Jinx type
series.
of deal.
Yeah, and this guy had been imprisoned wrongly for a rape for 16 years.
Wasn't it a rape and murder?
No, rape. The murder comes later. So he's released, and it's all publicized. You know, like the technology. They just proved through genetic testing or whatever that he had nothing to do with it. So he's released, and of course lawsuits with the county and everything else, and people looking bad. And suddenly this reporter goes missing and is found dead that was on his property, and now he's back in custody, and there's a lot of suspicious police work going on, and shoddy testimony and everything else, and everything's looking really shady. And I'm not saying this guy doesn't deserve to be in jail, but he seems to keep going to jail for things he's never done. And I won't tell you how this thing ends up, although you could probably look it up. But man, it was a fascinating watch and made me very angry about the system over there. And I think there should be a lot more people in jail other than the people who actually went to jail.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure there was enough to warrant them going to jail one way or the other. So anyway, it was a fascinating series. I highly recommend it. And Netflix originals seem to be of really high quality, and
Netflix is doing some good stuff.
Yeah. I gotta give them credit. I haven't really been disappointed with much of anything, really, that's a Netflix original that I've watched so far. They're starting to put them out so fast now that I'm gonna not keep up with them anymore. But
there's one that I watched. I thought it was a Netflix original, but it was called Scrotal Recall. It was
it's on there. I haven't watched it.
It's funny. Watch it. It's
like
really
I said, they're coming out so quickly now that I just
Scrotal Recall is only 6 episodes, and they're like a half hour each.
Yeah,
then I can
cheaper
probably
to make original content than it is to pay for shaky licenses for stuff, I guess, because Netflix is getting worse and worse for like studio stuff just disappearing.
I noticed that.
It's so bad for it. I mean, I remember when Netflix came out, we were like on board to give it a try.
There's a lot more Disney stuff. They seem to be have a good relationship with them, but
there's still a lot that goes, man. Like we had like 1,500 or 2,000 DVDs, and when Netflix came out, we went through, and every single one that was on Netflix we got rid of. And I'm buying things back because it just disappears.
Well, yeah, they're not there forever. So
yeah, so think about that, people.
Somebody told me, and I'm pretty sure this is just a bad rumor, but I heard this last night or a couple nights ago that Canada might be the only country to get Star Wars The Force Awakens as early as January. Well, it's January now. But
I don't think
I don't believe a word of it.
It'll still be in theaters till the end of this month. Are you kidding?
I said end of February.
At least.
And then they'll, this is, if I was Disney, this is what I would do with Star Wars. I would run it to the end of February. I mean, by that point, you're already competing with Deadpool because the big movies are already open earlier and earlier. So Deadpool's opening in February, and I would close out Star Wars, and then I'd bring it back in the summer. I'd bring it back midsummer because I mean, of course, you can double dip that movie. Who wouldn't? Like people keep it's a repeat watch movie.
I have a friend who's seen it 14 times as of today's date,
which is crazy.
That's insane.
You think about that. That is, almost every day. That's probably every other day anyway, based on the amount of time it's been open. Probably a little more often than that. So that's crazy.
That's crazy insane.
Yeah.
Well, the wife and I went and saw Everest shortly after her
was
birthday.
that?
It was all right. I enjoyed it. It is very dramatized.
Yeah.
A lot. It's based on true events loosely. Any
movie that says it's based on a true story is always loosely.
It's loosely. It is based on a true story, but my wife is very familiar with that story. Like climbing is of interest to her, and she knows a lot about that. And we read the books and all this stuff. And she said that they dramatized the wrong things. So take that as you will. I thought it looked really good. She told me that one section of Everest was completely wrong, but I don't know that as a general moviegoer. But it was entertaining. I don't know if I'd ever see it again, but if you had a chance to see it, it's probably okay.
The best of that type of movie where it's part documentary, part dramatized, I think Touching the Void was amazing.
Yeah, she loved that one.
Yes. Yeah. That one was that was a hard watch, but worth it. Like, you just,
yeah, so
it's
good.
incredible.
But that was a few years ago, so go look it up.
There was a remake at the end of September that I didn't watch, and that they said it wasn't a remake, even though there's a movie that has the exact same title. The Green Inferno. Anybody see the cannibal movie?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a remake, but yeah, I see why. You could certainly make the argument. It is, if
Cannibal
nothing
Holocaust.
else, it is an homage to Cannibal Holocaust.
There's also a cannibal movie named The Green Inferno.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it focuses more on like jungle terror. but and very obscure. Like I'm probably someone like Eli Roth would know what it is.
Yeah,
but I don't like his movies. They're shitty, so I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I would never
like
ever
Eli
watch
Roth
Cannibal
movies
Holocaust more than one time.
No, neither would I.
Fuck that movie.
I don't even want to watch it once. It's just it's a subject matter that unnerves me.
Yeah,
but
it's really creepy.
Yeah, overall, like I have yet to like an Eli Roth movie.
They're just bad.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
watched like the first 3 Hostels, and they never got any better. So.
Oh God, I was good with one. That was fine.
Yeah, I didn't really.
I didn't like Cabin Fever either.
I never saw that.
Cabin Fever, which is that one where there's like the
flesh-eating disease.
Yeah.
See, I thought that was good. I enjoyed that one.
Didn't like that either.
Kid Jackson loved it. He seems like a cool guy.
It was disgusting, but not in a way I was
Although
uncomfortable with.
I think he was a producer on Hemlock Grove, which I did enjoy actually. So
I did not. Speaking of Netflix original, I did not. See
it's hard to get into though.
Did you see anything before the big first movie of October?
I'm just looking. There's a few I wanted to watch, and I didn't get into. 99 Homes, I've heard good things about. I wanted to watch it, and Sicario, I've heard good things about. But
yeah,
there's a lot. I've got to do. That's the thing. I've got to do a lot of catching up with some of these things.
I meant to see Cooties. It's like a kid zombie movie.
Yeah.
I made arrangements to see it with some friends, and it fell through, so I never had a
That
chance
looked
to
weirdly
see it.
fun.
So this movie, the big movie of October, is based on a book, and it was highly recommended to my wife, so she powered through that book in like a day.
Wow.
And then we went to see the movie, and I'm going to go on record and be quoted here as saying that this is the greatest potatoes in space movie ever made, and I stand by that. Did you guys get to see The Martian?
I haven't seen it yet.
No.
You know what? They've wasted so much money trying to save Matt
Martian.
Damon. I'm not going to give them any more money.
It's done quite well. I never, like I said, I haven't been to the theaters since the end of the summer, so we already know my answer to everything else.
Well,
but,
I saw The Martian.
I think based on what I'm hearing, I think it's got a good chance to be in the top 5 for Best Pictures this year.
Yeah,
probably,
I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it.
You know, I think
entertaining.
I think it's probably going to come down between The Martian and Revenant for Best Picture this year.
Maybe. The Martian visually was really good. The script was good. Matt Damon, shockingly, was hilarious. Like, he was really good.
He can be funny if he wants to be.
Yeah, if I can fault it for anything, and it's nitpicky, is that the head of NASA is Jeff Daniels. And I just see Dumb and Dumber when he's on screen. So if I had to nitpick. But I really enjoyed it. It was very entertaining.
If you think he's an idiot, what was that, The Newsroom? Watch a couple episodes of The Newsroom. That can kind of clear your palate from Dumb and Dumber. And then you might believe him as the head of NASA.
Maybe. I'm still not convinced, but I'll give it a try. There was...
yeah, I'd seen Jeff Daniels in serious roles before Dumb and Dumber, so I'm okay.
I think I have a pretty big gap now. You said you saw Goosebumps?
I did. I went to the cheap theater to see Goosebumps. It's an enjoyable little movie. I like it. I never really read the R.L. Stine books, but I'm like familiar with the idea of them. It's like there's like a monster of the week type of thing.
Yeah, they're kids or teen horror books.
Yeah, like kind of young adult type of scary books.
I was just getting too
I also
old
think
for
Bridge of Spies will be part of
they
the
were
Best
coming.
Picture nods, by the way.
And Jack Black is just like an insano. I always love him as an insano. It's pretty good. Like, I could see the twist coming about 5,000 miles away.
Yeah, I don't imagine it's terribly original, but I think it would be a fun time. Everybody that I know
all
that's
the little
seen it
creatures was
liked it.
great. Like, it was just a lot of fun.
It's
just a fun movie.
The kid version of Cabin in the Woods, basically.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Did anyone see Crimson Peak? I really wanted to.
I did.
Didn't get a chance.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Well, it's Guillermo del Toro. Pretty much their opening week. Okay, this is probably the last movie I saw this year. And visually beautiful movie. The plot's very familiar for anybody kind of into gothic horror. It didn't feel all that unique to me, but my God, it's a stunning movie. At the time, I could only see it in IMAX. It was only available in IMAX at the week I saw it. I don't know if that was intentional or whatever.
Well, okay, but
even on the posters, they said it was an IMAX experience.
Do you think it adds to the movie to have it in IMAX?
Well, I was thankful that it was. I mean, most screens are so big now that it doesn't I don't think that is a factor.
Well, see,
I'm just glad it wasn't 3D.
They do crap like this where Magic Mike
It
XXL was
does.
in frickin' IMAX.
No,
you
this-
don't need shit like
this-
that. 50 Shades of Grey in IMAX, you don't fucking
No,
need that either.
This movie certainly benefits from it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
If you can at least, if they can
Yeah.
justify it, I don't mind it.
Yeah, the
but when they put it on
sound-
IMAX screen specifically to make more money, that
Yeah,
pisses
the
me
the
off.
visuals and the sound, the sound design is incredible. It's just it falls a bit flat. And it's as a dramatic piece. And maybe it's just because I knew how it was going to end. Like I was already, the story was, it didn't seem to reference anything in particular based on this by this author or whatever, but I knew the story. Like this is
it's a
something
familiar trope?
yeah, it was a trope that I was already familiar with. I'm trying not to spoil the movie for people who haven't
don't
seen
spoil it.
Yeah.
I'll have to fight you.
We're
Yeah.
doing a non-spoiler one. But would you say
Non-spoiler.
yes, recommend? No,
Recommend, yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's out of the theater now, so you look
Should
at
be home
DVDs.
video soon.
But yeah, recommend watch, especially if you're really into Guillermo del Toro's kind of gothic horror, Pan's Labyrinth look.
Nice.
If you, much like Pan's Labyrinth, though, it's not about the creatures. It's more of a dramatic piece about the characters, so you're not going to see a lot of ghosts.
So more
Okay.
like Devil's Backbone then.
Very much like Devil's Backbone, actually. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth, I'd love to have seen, hours of just all that design work there. At least with this one, yeah, the ghosts aren't a central piece of this at all. They're almost a side thing. It's
Really?
not the central conceit of the movie at all. But the whole movie is beautifully designed. Like, the visuals are gorgeous throughout.
Nice.
So, I
Which
mean,
is
if you're
typical
just
Del Toro, yeah.
if you're a fan
Yeah.
of good filmmaking and
I like
set
a pretty
design,
movie.
yeah, and there's one I could see being up for best set design
For
so,
sure, yeah.
and
And then
maybe
the-
best costumes.
The end of
What is it?
October was a steaming pile of garbage all at once. We
Oh,
had
God,
the
yeah.
giant flop, Gem and the Holograms.
Yes, just shattering a bunch of little girls' childhoods.
No.
No, 30-year-old
no.
boys' childhoods.
Yeah.
A bunch of adult women's childhoods.
Oh, let's face it. Yes,
Everybody.
Most of us will only watch Gem because it was wedged between Transformers and GI Joe. But that said, I liked Gem and the Holograms.
I liked Jim.
I
as
have a
kid.
box set upstairs, so
I liked Jim. It was silly, but yeah, Jim. I could get behind it, but no. It
yeah,
was-
I had no interest
as
in
soon
this
as
movie.
I saw the trailer, I was like, "This is a piece of turd."
It didn't.
It looked bad from
I
the
didn't.
get-go.
I didn't, honestly didn't think it would work because it's such.
It's too
even
80s.
the animation, it's too much of its own time. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
hard to
not.
update.
Yep. It looked terrible. No one saw it, and it died horribly and will be forgotten. So that's good. And then we had another installment of Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the
And-
month, there was one I really wanted to see and never got to.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Oh, you want to talk about Paranormal Activity?
Well, no, I actually wanted to say Vin Diesel came back again this year
Last
in a movie
Witch
that
Hunter.
nobody saw.
Oh, The Last Witch Hunter?
Yeah,
Wah,
I
wah.
totally forgot about it, and
yeah, I didn't.
and
I didn't want to watch it.
Well, I like Vin Diesel movies and even the bad ones, but yeah, I never got to it.
He was great in Tooth Fairy. Yeah, that's just like looking at the end of October. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse looked hilarious. Never saw it.
Yeah,
I wanted to see Our Brand is Crisis.
that one. I think I actually did want to see that one, and it just never, like I said, never happened. Crimson Peak was the last one for me, but and Spectre, I totally am a huge Bond nerd, but I haven't really dug a lot of the Daniel Craig movies, so
See, I like them.
I was okay. I haven't liked one since Casino Royale, honestly, so I wasn't in a big hurry for this one. I'm like, I'll buy it on Blu-ray.
And I saw the Peanuts movie.
You did?
I did. I took my
was
mom
it?
to see it. Peanuts in 3D is upsetting. Like it's you know that little curl he has in the front of his head? Mm-hmm. It's fine in 2D, but when you put it in 3D, it's a boy with encephalitis and alopecia, and you think like, or maybe cancer because he has no hair.
Hilarious.
And you're like, the whole time I'm like, this poor little boy's gonna die. That's why he's afraid to tell the little redheaded girl how he feels, because if he doesn't before she leaves us for camp, he's never gonna see her again. Like, it's just in 3D. Peanuts should never be in 3D. That's my takeaway.
Weird. And no one saw Spectre. Did you see Spectre?
No, I didn't see Spectre.
I didn't see it either.
I heard mixed reviews of Spectre.
I've heard mixed reviews on that as well.
Anything at the tail end of November there, guys?
Well, I mean, hey, in November like I said, I know I haven't seen any of these movies, but we had some big releases.
Yeah.
Hunger Games finally wraps up. And I usually just wait till Netflix because they've got them all on there right now. But
yeah,
I've actually thoroughly enjoyed that franchise.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty good. Like a lot of the young adult ones they keep trotting out now, I have no fucking interest in.
Yeah, well, I liked Maze Runner a lot as well.
Oh, I know interest.
Really enjoyed Maze Runner.
That's on Netflix. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I was interested in that one at the get-go, whereas Hunger Games, I was like, You know, I've seen a lot of movies like this already, so
yeah.
But when I made the jump, I really enjoyed it. Granted, I thought Mockingjay Part 1 was really boring. So,
well, they did the same thing. They're like, it's a big book, so we'll split it into two movies. It's when you sometimes it's like the very first Avengers. It's just a setup movie.
Yeah.
Like I always get upset when they're like, oh, well, we have too much to put into these movies. No, you don't. Just don't spend all of it setting up.
That's what they did with Harry Potter, where they spent 45 minutes crying in a tent. Fuck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what they did. I hate one thing. I hate a setup movie. I hate a movie I have to fucking sit through for setup.
Yeah,
it's annoying. I really wanted to see. Actually, I didn't because I didn't know what it was when Creed came out.
Oh, there's
that one
another.
Looked good.
I think that'll be on Best Picture lists again.
For sure.
Yeah, no idea. Never heard anything about it. I got offered free tickets. I didn't go. I should have.
I wish I had because I got offered a couple of times and I just getting busy season and at work, so I just couldn't warrant taking off.
Oh.
Good Dinosaur came and went. No one talked about it,
which is interesting for a Pixar
really
movie.
Good.
It looked, it's Pixar. I'm sure it's better than but I think it sits in more in that younger audience Cars category.
True.
But yeah, it didn't. I think it's
didn't make the impact it was supposed to.
Yeah,
the trailer
it's
great.
performing like Ants did.
Oh yeah, one of those.
Yeah,
like the redheaded stepchild.
It's not.
Pixar.
Yeah, it's not Pixar's first come and gone movie. So
well, Ants was DreamWorks.
Yeah.
Oh no, Ants Life. Sorry, Ants Life. Bugs Life. I was getting there.
Yeah, Ants versus Bug Life.
Bug Life.
I didn't want to fight Hunger Games crowd, so I went and saw The Night Before.
How was that?
That wasn't too bad. It's if you want to get on board with the ridiculousness, it's fun.
Oh,
it's
love
a lot of fun. It's a nice little bromance going on. I enjoyed it.
Oh, because Seth Rogen doesn't do bromance movies.
No, but like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which I will watch in anything.
He's excellent.
And but Seth Rogen, like, not a big fan. He's one of the actors I don't really like. But in this movie, I did enjoy him. I really did.
I like him in 40-Year-Old Virgin because he's a small part.
Considering the big push Victor Frankenstein had, it just died.
It just died right up the gate. It really
get
did.
a theatrical release?
Oh yeah, it did.
It actually was on a screen.
It had a huge push. Nobody
It was
cared.
on a screen. Nobody wanted.
Was
to
this
see it.
part of what they were hoping to be the Universal Monsters
Revival?
franchise?
Yeah, maybe.
Like they wanted to do the cinematic universe with those.
Well, they did Dracula Untold.
Well, they were testing the waters.
Didn't work. How did
that was never meant to be part of their cinematic universe. It actually came out prior to their announcement, and they tacked on a little bit at the end that if it did well, they could use it, which it didn't. So I'm assuming they ignored it, but this didn't either. So I'm wondering if this just scuttled their plans entirely for a cinematic universe.
I don't think they were executing it well. Like I sort of heard, I saw the push, but then
actually no. You know what? This can't be part of it because it's 20th Century Fox.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So there you go. But this might change their minds.
They're just trying to get in before Universal clamps down that copyright.
Yeah.
There's one I'm pretty sure, like you say, if we're talking Oscar movies for next year, there's one I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be on the list. The Danish Girl. I'm guessing.
That could be Best Foreign.
It's about one artist, like the first person to go through transgender assignment, gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah, because that's not topical at the moment.
Exactly. Like I think it's for sure going to be on the list.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
I learned something interesting about gender reassignment recently, and not in any political aspect, just as it relates to movies. I was given a soundtrack record for A Clockwork Orange, done by Walter Carlos, who had done the Switched On Bach albums, the early Moog albums. They won like awards and made all this money. Used the money from those albums to become Wendy Carlos, who did the soundtrack for the original Tron for Disney.
Sweet.
Nice.
Did work for The Shining.
Wow.
As well as 12 or 13 extremely successful electronic music. So she is an electronic music pioneer and a pioneer of the transgender thing, because it was like 1972.
Yeah, that's
early.
really...
So it was really interesting. I had just, whenever I get something, a movie or music or anything that I really like, I am glad that we have this newfangled thing called the internet where you can just feverishly research everything. And
That's pretty cool.
that came up in the research, and I was like, wow, that's incredibly interesting, and I wonder if anyone will ever think of doing a movie based on her.
That would be great. It's almost as if you found out that talent has nothing to do with genitals.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, Sense8 is that plays a big part in some of the characters in Sense8 as well. But with the Wachowskis,
I do have to watch Sense8.
Yeah, with the Wachowskis, it's not like why. Yeah, exactly. That one of them did it, so it's something that they're going to throw in for sure.
For sure.
There's
with a multicast.
There's a movie
like
I watched in the film festival circuit that maybe came out this year, which I mentioned before, Deathgasm.
Right.
I do want to see that one.
It was fucking great. I loved it. Everyone should see it. If you like rock and roll horror movies, it actually is basically the movie Trick or Treat, just Norwegian.
I was looking online, and it was on a list of like some of the best movies to come out. Like was Deathgasm. They're like one of the best horror ones.
Oh, it's awesome.
I've heard great things about it.
I really loved it. It played here at the Underground, the Cuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is it Norwegian or New Zealand?
New Zealand. Okay,
because I'm sitting there, I'm getting confused for a second.
I was like, I just listened to a podcast with the director of that, so
New Zealand.
Like, why? What?
New Zealand, yeah.
I may not know my accents.
I did go see Krampus. It was awesome. It is basically National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation meets Gremlins. It's like a family horror.
That sounds wonderful.
It's not advertised like a family horror movie, so I think that it probably didn't do well, but it's amazing, and I will absolutely, when it hits home video, add it to the regular Christmas movie rotation, because it was really great. It was a lot of fun, and the character designs were done by Weta.
Oh, sweet. Okay, then I'm definitely.
It was pretty neat. And then December 18th, something came out, and nobody saw it. So
it was a tiny little indie.
Independent film. Star Wars is probably my number one
movie for
this year. It was it was amazing. I loved it. It was, my friend said that it was like being visited by an old friend.
Oh yeah.
Well, my friend at work, he's a customer of mine, but we disagree about movies all the time, and I think I might have to have him on the show. He was a little disappointed by it, but he also loves the Phantom Menace, so that kind of made his opinion null and void anyway.
Yeah, you can't. You have to stop talking after that.
Only person who's given me anything relatively negative, and he liked the movie. I'm not saying I'm not putting words in his mouth.
Cody hated it, and he hates everything.
Really?
That's a big studio, and he's like, it's just a remake of A New Hope, which there are parallels.
Yeah, but it's
not
still
a remake.
A different movie.
But where Cody hated it, I had a friend named Ryan who has a podcast called Fanboy Power Hour, and he has seen it 14 times as of this date. I've seen it twice. I would go again, and it was just a lot of fun. It's not without its flaws, but newsflash, Star Wars is not without its flaws.
Well,
FYI, sorry, just as an aside,
I've been waiting for the holiday season to die down so I could go see it. So.
Just emo Kylo Ren.
Emo Kylo Ren, best thing
Kylo
ever.
Ren is amazing.
But like as an aside, I remember watching it, and like the lead character who plays Finn, John Boyega, the entire time I'm like going, that guy looks familiar, that guy looks familiar, that guy looks familiar. And I finally looked it up. He was in Attack the Block.
Attack the Block, yeah.
And it was like, finally, I'm like, another great movie. I'm like, damn it, John Boyega, I love you.
He is probably the best new character. He's so good.
Yeah.
And him and the lead girl who plays Rey have
Daisy
just like...
Ridley.
Yeah, just great chemistry on screen.
I've heard,
He's also got great chemistry with Oscar Isaac.
Okay, without having seen it, though, like, I love the fact that with what little I've seen for trailers, I like that it looks like it meshes more with the original trilogy than the Phantom Menace trilogy does. Like, technology-wise, it looks like there's more practical in there. And
well, it's almost all practical.
Yeah.
I love that there's an actual robot, again, like R2-D2, and although I think that was a little person, but either way, there's a little robot, which I think, but everything kind of looks like it meshes better with the
it totally
77 franchise. because it really feels like that whole galaxy had a drop in technology by the time if you watch that original trilogy in order.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's too polished. It looks too
sort
good.
of they know that practical effects makes more of an impact. It just does.
Yeah.
Like after doing all so much fucking CGI.
Yeah. I'm glad we're finally.
That's what it is. It's the next Star Wars that's coming. Episode 8 is being directed by somebody who worked on one of the Fast movies. I'm going to look it up. Continue talking.
Okay.
But but it's a really it's a
I know
solid movie.
Next year
and
is
at the heart of it,
Rogue
it's
Squadron.
really good. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot more.
Oh, sorry, the guy who
heart.
did Looper.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, he'd be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah. Well, next year we get Rogue Squadrons. It looks like we're going to talk about Star Wars every year. So
No.
Well, we could talk about Star Wars. We've been able to talk about Star Wars every year for 38 years. So
True.
don't worry about it.
But next year's movies, what are you looking for
Well,
next
hold on.
year?
Let's just round out the rest of the year. Not that there's much left after
There is
Star
not
Wars.
much.
Apparently, there was another Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
Not gonna watch
Who
it.
knew? Who cared?
Boo.
Let's see. The other big ones, I guess, was Point Break just came out at Christmas Day, and
Remake.
Yeah, Remake. We will talk about it on the show at another date, but none of us actually saw
not
it.
watching it in theaters.
Trisha's got angry girl face about it, and I don't know.
don't wanna watch it.
I'm not a big fan of the first one, so I'm actually
I'm not
interested
paying
in
hard-earned
this
money
one.
to watch.
Hateful Eight, which I don't know if anybody saw here.
I haven't seen it yet. I kind of want to.
Yeah, I liked his last attempt at a Western, so I'm very much looking forward to Hateful Eight.
got Jennifer Jason Leigh in
can't
it. I
stand
like her.
Tarantino, so I probably won't watch it.
Unless
we have to.
For me, he's been on a roll. So, like, as of late, there was
Kurt Russell in it.
there
I
was a
like it.
rule there for a while where I liked every other movie. I liked one. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna hate the next one, and I usually did. And then
It was like Star Trek's.
yeah, right. Well,
Every other one was good.
yeah, it kind of was. And then I think it changed. Oh, I'm trying to remember where that changed on me. Man, I'm blanking on actually most of the names of his movies at the moment. That's where
Inglorious Bastards,
the one
Django
before that.
Unchained.
The one before that.
Before Inglorious Bastards?
Yeah.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill.
Okay, that was the last one that followed the rule. Liked part one, didn't like part two.
Ah, okay.
I read a
And
ridiculous
then-
statement that
then it's
said,
been good ever since for me.
I read a ridiculous statement or article that said Hateful Eight was or that Tarantino took inspiration for Hateful Eight from Reservoir Dogs and Django Unchained.
What?
Yeah, so yeah, he's just inspired by his own stuff and made this Western. And I'm like, yeah, because Sergio Leone is the guy that existed, no big deal.
Jesus.
Speaking of that,
I hate the lazy people out in
lazy writers.
Yeah.
Jesus, lazy media. My God.
But he,
I thought we did lazy research.
True.
we do.
But to be honest, like I will say one thing:
That's
when you
just
go online,
naive.
be discerning about what you read about shit.
Totally, guys.
Guys,
just
don't
stuck
read the
with
first
me
thing that
'cause it
shows
was-
up in Google.
I'm like, you see a title like Hateful Eight and you not once think about the Magnificent Seven? Are you out of your fucking mind?
I know, right?
Well, along the lines with the Sergio Leone love that obvious with these westerns he's been doing is he actually hired Ennio Morricone, who did the
nice.
scores for those original like Fistful of Dollars and Good, Bad, and Ugly and a million. He actually did the score for The Thing.
I can tell I'm already going to love this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did the score for The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
And apparently there are music pieces in Hateful Eight that were unused music from The Thing, so
Oh, wow.
pretty interesting. Yeah, I will probably end up seeing it. I'll probably end up hating it because it's Tarantino, but maybe the soundtrack will be great. Who can say?
I find for me, he takes these shitty movie genres, things he loved about these shitty movies from the Grindhouse era. Like, Grindhouse came out and did terribly. That's
Yeah.
because he got honest about what he was doing. He'd always made those kind of movies.
True.
But he always makes good versions of those movies. Or at least he attempts to. Like I said, I don't like them all. I mean, I think the one I hate the most is Jackie Brown, but I'm
that
not,
one's not
I
his
never
greatest one.
liked that exploitation genre anyway, that particular one. So, why would I like it now? But not saying it's a terrible movie, just I don't like it. But the other big one that we probably need to mention, even though I don't think anybody's seen it, is The Revenant.
The Revenant, yeah.
It's the big one from the director of Birdman, won Best Picture last year. Everybody's expecting to win this year. It's very rare that a director win
twice.
twice in a row.
I'm going to go on record and say that Birdman is in at least the top 3 worst movies I have ever seen. I fucking hated it. Everything about it. The story, the acting, the endless shot, the music, everything about that movie is fucking terrible.
Now, I'm going to go on record because it's, this is our podcast here, and having not seen Birdman and not seeing Revenant, but seeing enough of it and knowing people who, because a good hunk of Revenant was shot here in Calgary, and know people on it, and knowing this director's shooting style, I've seen directors like this before that are too pretentious in what they're too artsy fartsy in their own mind for what they're doing. I don't think I'm going to like Birdman when I finally sit down and watch it, and I don't think I'm going to like Revenant either.
I don't think I'm going to like Revenant. I think I didn't mind Birdman. I enjoyed it. I liked the continuous shot. It's a different way of going about it.
Except for,
I think the problem is it's hard when people make a character that's terrible. They're like, we'll make them completely terrible and call it art. That's not the point. If I really don't give a shit what happens to them, I'm not going to watch the rest of this movie. I don't care about your art.
Well, I thought Edward Norton.
There you go.
I thought Edward Norton did great with the one dimension he was given. It was a fucking, oh my god, and that soundtrack was brutal. Oh, I hate it. I'm getting angry thinking about Birdman. I think about Star Wars now.
Okay, well, we don't have a lot of
I thought Birdman was fine.
All
I
right.
thought it was fine, but I don't think
we don't have a lot of extra time here. So before we wrap it up, movies you're most looking forward to for 2016 here?
Suicide Squad.
Oh, definitely not that.
That does look pretty good.
I do want to watch it. I want to watch it.
Everything about that is terrible looking to me. As a comic book nerd, I can't get behind it. I will see it anyway.
I think it looks better than I thought it would.
And the new X-Men. I want to see
Age
that
of Apocalypse?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that because I really loved Days of Future Past.
I'm already disappointed with how Apocalypse looks.
Yeah, he looks fucking terrible. But Days of Future Past, like in my mind, was the best comic book movie, like as far as adaptation of the source. And I feel like Age of Apocalypse could be that good.
Yeah, I think they pulled the X-Men franchise back from the precipice. I've been really enjoying
it.
It
was going far.
First Class was the first step to like getting better, and then Days was amazing. So hopefully Apocalypse is good. I'm really looking forward. It's going to be such a train wreck. I can't even imagine. But I'm really looking forward to Batman Superman.
Deadpool. I want to see Deadpool.
I'm sorry that initial trailer hasn't left me with.
No.
I haven't watched any trailers.
I think we all know we're going to watch it.
Oh yeah,
we're all going to watch it.
We're all going to watch it.
Let's not kid ourselves.
No, I'm going. It left me with a little hope near the end that they're not going to be as serious as we all thought they were.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the trailer didn't really come together for me either. What did come together for me, and I'm really stoked about, is Captain America Civil War.
That looks really good.
That's
That
another one.
is probably my most anticipated movie for 2016.
I'm going to be spending a lot of money on movies.
Oh, geez, the amount of comic book movies alone this year. Maybe that's why I haven't gone in a while, because I'm already gearing up to, I got Deadpool in February.
Yes.
I've got Captain America Civil War in March.
They're at least trying to spread them out because they know so many of them are
There's a
coming
lot.
out.
Like I'm looking at a master list. There's a lot. Like new Ghostbusters. I'm cautiously optimistic.
I definitely want to see that.
Cautiously optimistic.
The new Star Trek is the one that's done by the guy who did Fast and the Furious 3 to 6.
Oh, okay.
And you can see that in the trailer. There's a lot of fast shit moving around.
I did see the trailer for it. I'm digging what I saw.
Yep. I'm cautiously optimistic because I love the original. I don't care what anybody says. Independence Day.
That one I'm a little. I'll go see for sure because I do love the first one.
Finest Hours could be alright. The boat movie by I can't remember the studio.
Oh, they got Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
Is it finally coming out?
Yeah.
I knew they've been working on that for a while.
Oh, the live action Jungle Book. Have you seen anything on that?
No, I like the casting. I like what I've been hearing about it. So, and that's probably my favorite Disney animated film. But I haven't been overly fond of these live-action versions we've been getting.
You should check out...
Oh, Tarzan's coming out, too.
So I haven't seen a trailer, though.
You should check out the trailer.
Do they have a singing bear?
Bill Murray is Baloo.
Yes. Okay, I might be on board for this.
But the greatest casting choice ever, is Christopher Walken as King Louis.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I just want man's red fire. Ooh-wee, ooh-ooh. I want to be like you. Alice in Wonderland's going to be a disaster.
Was the first time?
Yeah. That's, well, I'm going to see Zoolander 2.
Oh, I won't.
I'm excited for...
Didn't like the first one.
I'm excited for Crouching Tiger 2.
Oh, me too.
There's Doctor Strange might be good.
Doctor Strange, I want to see.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, a remake, guys.
Okay, and I'm not going to
Amityville.
kid myself. I'm going to watch Finding Dory.
I'm going to watch Finding Dory too. Yeah.
Of course I am.
Okay,
sure.
well,
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That looks.
Oh,
pretty good.
the
Yes.
J.K. Rowling. Yeah.
Tarzan looks good, and I'm at the end of the list.
Tarzan looks very good.
There's one. Hey, easy.
I have seen nothing about Tarzan, so. Okay, well, that's a lot. Tell us what your favorite movies of 2015 were and what your most anticipated ones for 2016 are. You can do that over at Invasion Remake on Twitter, Invasion of the Remake over on Facebook, and, of course, Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com. And if we like what you got, we might read it on the air. And the best way you can support us is you can support us over just by telling your friends about the podcast. And rate, review, and subscribe. Please just write a short review. It only takes a couple of minutes, or give us a 5-star over on iTunes. And just tell a friend. That's all we ask. And we'll be back next week with the Blobcast.
Blobcast.
I'm Jason.
Jeff.
Trish.
And we're out of here.
Peace.